Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Game Informer Show. I'm your host, Ben Hansen, joined by Kyle Hilliard.
Hello.
Jeff Gork.
Hello.
And Ben Reeves.
Hey.
Welcome, everybody. What a good bunch of guys we got here.
Finally, 4 dudes on the podcast.
We're talking about a lot of games today. It's a real scattershot, but some good stuff in there. Talking a little bit about Fortnite, a little bit about Metal Gear Survive. You guys have played it?
We watch Serial play a lot.
Okay,
So,
fantastic.
yes.
Very informed.
Pretty
We're going to touch a little bit on They Are Billions. Kyle, a new Portal game kind of sort of came out. We're going to talk about that.
Mhm.
Some other bips and bops along the way. Then we're going to talk about the future of the Switch. And you can't talk about the future of the Switch without looking to like the tail end of 2017 with the Switch. So we're going to talk about Tiny Metal, Brawlout, Blossom Tales, Crawl. There's kind of a scattershot, a random sampling of games that we haven't talked about yet on the podcast that were released on the Switch that I think people might be interested in. And then talk about the future of that beloved system. Then we have some great community emails. Then back half of the show, diving in deep on Fortnite. We have Eric Williamson, who's the lead systems designer, David Spalinsk, who's the lead level designer, and Sydney Rohrberger, who's lead level designer, all from Epic. They were in a tough name to pronounce contest, and they all won.
Yeah.
They
You
talking about the
sounded
new-
off the edges of all those syllables, so good job.
But they're all designers on Fortnite.
Are they talking about the new map that came out this week? or-
That's exactly it. Yeah, they're
Okay.
talking about the process of updating that map, the history of the Battle Royale mode, specifically's development and all that. So if you're a Fortnite fan, I hope you learned something. The audio quality is a little bit rough. They're in a conference room, so I apologize for that. But I think you'll get something out of it. Cork,
Yeah.
with Fortnite, it seems like you've quietly been coming into the office more and more and whispering as you walk through the doors, hey guys, Fortnite's a lot better than anybody's giving it credit for.
Yeah.
After that Thanksgiving episode where you were so rude and made so many crass jokes about Fortnite.
Well,
being ripped
I never.
off. How much have you played it at this point?
I think when they had over our Christmas break, they had the 50 versus 50 battle royale mode.
Yeah.
That was great.
Is it
So-
still a Royale if it's 50v50?
Yes.
Everybody
Okay.
had one life, right?
We all do, if you think about it.
One
Yeah.
life to live.
So that's what brought you in, and then what appealed to you? I mean, you've been playing PUBG a lot on Xbox as well.
A fair amount. Let's
Okay.
be honest. I don't think I would say a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's super fun. It reminds me, obviously, it's difficult to say that it is a wholly original idea, but it is a well-executed variation of PUBG, I would say.
Yeah.
Fortnite's Battle Royale. It is, for instance, one thing I think that it's got going for it is fun to shoot a gun in it. You feel like you're having a good time.
Compared to the Xbox.
It's not just the anticipation of I'm gonna die any second now, and it's a very stressful experience. I think like Fortnite's variation of it is more of like kind of a goofy, not just
Yeah.
visually, but I think like I felt like my lives were more disposable. It's like, when I die, it's not a big deal. Whereas I took it kind of personally in PUBG. I don't
But
know
I feel
what
like
it is
that-
about that.
I kind of miss that tension personally. I'm also really impressed. I've been playing a little bit of Fortnite
Mhm.
on PS4. The tension is the main appeal
Yeah.
for PUBG for me, but it does fill a different avenue, and I just think it plays so smooth and it runs surprisingly well
Yes.
on that system. Even building and stuff, which you can really get into if you want to, but it's amazing that there's some matches where the entire concept that you can tear anything down
Mhm.
and build anything almost feels like an afterthought. Maybe I'm playing it incorrectly.
There are other matches though where it's like you're one of the I guess it is the map. There's an island in the middle of this lake, and it's fun if the poison cloud is aligned in such a way where people are rushing to the middle of the island. That's where like a big confrontation is, and it's great to see somebody kind of like laying out a bridge, feet in front of them. So, because they're not as
Magneto
vulnerable.
style.
I would go with
Exactly.
Gromit
That's
style
cool.
from Wallace and Gromit with the train, but
Yeah, of
there you go.
course.
Yeah.
Are your kids into it?
Yeah, actually, that's who I spent most of the time playing with, was just kind of co-op with my older son in the 50v50 mode. And it's bizarre to me that that's like a limited time engagement.
Yeah.
Because as soon as that dropped off and it was back to more traditional, like a squad or a duo or whatever, it just wasn't as much fun.
Oh, that's weird.
Is
I
this
enjoyed
split
being
screen?
part of like, no, we had 2 consoles
Okay.
set up.
that's what I was wondering.
Is there? I know when Fortnite first relaunched, before they even had this battle royale mode, it felt like the feedback was, "Hey, this is maybe a little over complicated."
That's
like the building and stuff. Does that not matter
The
anymore?
building, I don't think, is the complicated part. With the base game, the world mode, it's just a mess of systems and different currencies and menus, and I feel like that's the part that can really be streamlined. I feel like that is the beauty. It's everything that's right and wrong about the industry, I feel like, in one package within Fortnite. Because you go to the Battle Royale mode, it's surprisingly clean, gets you right in there. You have the basic idea of, okay, just survive. Got it. And you can learn to build on your own. It's not that complicated. Whereas the other mode is just a wash of currencies and menus, and it just feels so dragged down by the surface experience underneath the core gameplay. So it's fascinating to think about the development history of that game. It's really fun, especially to watch like the comments on Game Informer's YouTube channel, because we did a video when we did that cover story on Fortnite back in 2014 about the development history of that game, and starting with Cliffy B and Rod Ferguson and all that. And there's kids now who have fallen in love with Fortnite's Battle Royale who go back and leave comments on that video like, what the hell? I can't believe this game has been in development since 2011. It's just this weird split. And people, it's some mythical past of Fortnite back in 2011, the original concept and the original base game. Because now the Battle Royale mode, it's exploded. It's over 2 million concurrent players, so Epic says. It's just absurd how huge that thing has become.
It is
How would
the
you
power
feel?
of free. Let's be honest. I mean,
Yeah,
it is like
it's a huge
a
thing.
really fun version of in a genre that is extremely popular that you can play without spending any money on it. So
And it runs really well.
yeah, I mean, there's things like you can't drive a vehicle in it, you can't go prone, you can't customize your loadout to the same degree that you can in PUBG.
You can't even really customize your character, right? Unless I'm missing something.
You
right?
can if you spend money. I think you
Right,
can
okay.
get
But you can
costumes.
only earn V-Bucks, I believe, right now through the actual base game,
Yeah,
which
'cause
still
that's-
costs money to get into right now.
I was doing a lot of Googling right out of the gate. I was like, how do I change my character? Like,
Yeah.
I even just my gender. But otherwise, you're just getting like a random
No.
character out of the gate, which is odd.
How would you feel if you were one of those original designers who worked on that game back before the Battle Royale mode? Would you just feel super deflated? Like,
I don't know about
what's the
deflated because,
point?
well, as you'll hear in the interview coming up later, I try and ask about that, just about like, is there a realignment of priorities? And the way they frame it is, Fortnite's all one package. It's one big thing. But I'd imagine it's a complicated situation to try and navigate. Just the idea that they poured years and years and years into this full RPG system and everything in that base game.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, the side project for fun has exploded in a way we never could have expected.
This is all you needed to do. Oh,
Hey,
Right, all that time ago. It's so
But
complicated.
they've probably gained so many. I mean, there's a lot of those players have stepped out of the Battle Royale mode to explore the rest of the game, who otherwise wouldn't have.
Yes,
So I
yeah.
mean, you can't be too upset about it.
People
right?
are downloading the game and using Epic's, custom launcher and all that stuff on PC. So it's ultimately a win for Epic. But again, if you're interested in Fortnite, stay tuned. Back half of the show, we talk about it a fair amount. But I remember a lot of people making Fortnite comparisons back when a certain game was unveiled, which is Metal Gear Survive.
oh yeah.
Saying, oh, is this just Fortnite? Just people putting up barricades and trying to survive the night as zombies invade? And so you guys have seen a lot of the single player.
Yeah.
Was it the beginning of it?
We did no. They kind of dropped Serial just into the sort of the early part of the game. Like he was still seeing a lot of tutorial and stuff like that. But I don't think he saw like the opening cutscenes, or we didn't see the opening cutscenes or the establishing the story or anything like that. So all we saw was just like core early gameplay, basically.
So no cutscenes whatsoever?
I saw
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Serial was part of a demo that we walked in process
Yes.
Okay.
or in progress rather. So I saw a couple of cutscenes, but didn't have any larger context for them. It's mostly a robot talking.
Oh, all right. That sounds pretty good.
Yeah,
so what was
right.
the most surprising thing you saw throughout that time?
Oh,
This is a
no.
very stupid thing, but they added a lockpicking mini game, which
no.
which is frustrating to me because I say it half jokingly, but I really think Metal Gear Solid 5 is the best implementation of lockpicking, because you get all the sort of intensity of slowly having to take care of a lock, but without actually having to do a mini game.
I don't even remember. Is it just like a
You
meter
just hold
filling
down
up?
a button,
right?
Yeah,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it just takes time, and then you're making noise and stuff like that. So in terms of surprise, I was like, oh, okay, we're adding a lockpicking mini game, and then in the context of the game, it's kind of interesting because if you fail it, you have to make a lot more noise to unlock the box, or you can just break the box outright and make tons of noise and attract zombies who
State of
have
the K style.
traffic
State of the K
cones
style,
on top of
exactly.
their head.
When have you ever played a good lockpicking minigame?
Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain.
That's
I
not a
just went over
minigame. That's
this.
holding a button.
Kyle
no,
also likes microwaves.
yeah. Big fan.
It's
That's
cool
one of
to-
those things where it's like designers having to justify their existence. Like, well, we got to add something to this game just to prove that we're working on it. Or,
I
like,
see you really understand game development.
But-
yeah, I know. Yeah, come at me.
To be more
Metal Gear Solid
positive,
team.
like I'm kind of jumping on like a thing that was negative about it, but the core gameplay of just going around and collecting things, and then even the act of like putting up these fences in front of you to create barriers for the zombies to get through, and the way it's kind of it was cool to me to see like putting up a fence, the zombies come up and like put their hands up and are trying to get through the fence, and then you kind of have to poke them in the head with a pole through the fence. And
Are they trying to scale the fence?
They're trying to go around. They're trying to scale. They'll push it down.
They're just Sarah Connoring onto the fence?
Yeah, I got a sense of like watching it be played. It felt more. It kind of felt like that World War Z style of zombie, where you get like a big like collection of them like pushing up against something, and it seemed like the most methodical like zombie stop the incoming zombie waves gameplay I've seen in a while, because I think of like Left 4 Dead where it's just really fast and frantic, you're just trying to get off as many headshots as you can, but this was like you're setting up barriers, you're setting up fences, you're climbing up above to try to get like melee stabs down on the zombies as they're moving below. It was cool. Like I liked what I saw. It looked cool, and it's the Metal Gear Solid 5 engine, so it looks good, and Serial even said that it plays really well because they've already established that base gameplay that works really well. So
we posted a new gameplay today video, showing off the game and whatnot, and you were struck by the comments left on the YouTube section.
yeah,
in
just
particular.
instantly, just like instant hate of
Oh,
just
okay.
like Kojima's not involved. I don't want anything to do with any of this. I wouldn't pay more than $10 for this. This should be DLC for
The
Metal Gear
hate
Solid
train
5.
for that game is real, and it is passionate.
And the worst part is that playing this game is mandatory. So this is the world we're living in, guys.
God,
If you want to keep
scary
doing
world.
it, you gotta play it.
I'm a big Metal Gear fan. Hanson, you are too. So I get that sort of like, oh, this is the ex-boyfriend. We don't want to like. We're on Kojima's side. We don't believe in this product. But
Yeah, bye.
yeah,
It's that
don't
easy.
play
Just
it.
Don't play it.
But I mean, it seems like it plays well, and it's cool. Like fighting zombies in that engine seems neat, and it's intense, and it looks great.
It's absurd, but the idea that it's a mother-based soldier getting sucked up through a vortex which already existed in 5, and being sent to this weird alternate dimension with the zombies, or however the hell they set this whole thing up. Like, it's not like they're going back and retelling the story of 1 and throwing a bunch of zombies in there. Like, I understand if they're crapping all over Kojima's work, but I don't feel like they are in a story context that
We
I've
don't know
seen
what
so
they're
far.
crapping on, really.
Yeah,
They could be crapping on anything.
It feels like a side, like a mode that they were working on that grew larger and larger and larger until it became a full game.
Oh, Battle Royale.
It's one of those
Yeah.
things where, like, aside from the hate, I wonder if this will be like the sleeper hit of the year or something.
No.
Just because of the hate, you're saying? But
I
just
don't know.
because, like, Metal Gear Solid 5, I felt was like the best plain Metal Gear Solid, and it had like the weakest story. So the idea of giving us another game that plays that well, even if it has like a weak or non-existent story, like I think it could be really fun, right?
Yeah.
Of course.
Do you think it would be better perceived if they just didn't call it Metal Gear?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. If they just said, like, because if they just used that engine and just didn't call it Metal Gear, and it's like, this is a military kind of game with zombies in it, I think people would be more willing to try it out,
Yeah, I mean, you would think that Metal Gear fans would be conditioned because of Metal Gear Rising that, there's going to be some off series that are going to be wacky, even Metal Gear Acid. I feel like if they called it Metal Gear Solid, I would maybe understand a little bit more, but it's different enough. I'm still very curious about it.
So what's the hate going to be when they announce a new Metal Gear 6? Because they're probably going to work on that, right?
I don't know.
Yeah,
hell
they probably
knows?
won't call it Solid. They'll call it Metal Gear because this is Metal Gear Survive.
Right.
Like the subtitle is Survive, and apparently they're shorthanding it to MGV, which is kind of weird because they don't want it to be MGS.
Are you kidding me?
No, they don't want it to be MGS, but when you say MGV, it kind of recalls Metal Gear 5.
Right.
So they're I don't. Maybe they should have called MGZ for short or something.
That's
I don't know.
confusing.
It's not my job. It's
Well,
not my problem.
Speaking of fighting off waves and waves of zombies, Reeves, you've seen a little bit of They Are Billions on
Yeah.
Steam, right?
Yeah.
Early access survival RTS, which is one of those genres that I'm surprised I haven't played yet. It's an interesting take on something that feels new. I'm sure there's been elements before, kind of like a horde mode survival style thing, or even I think of like, from the more sim genre with Banish, which is kind of like a sim survival game. But with They Are Billions, you're building out a town, and then there's zombies all over the map, and you have to survive for a certain amount of time. Basically, there's always those RTS campaign missions where it's survive for this long, except this is it's I don't know. You can go out and kind of trigger the zombies to follow you by exploring the map a little bit, but it's mainly just about building out the town and then waiting for these hordes and hordes of zombies to
Right.
run against the walls.
And the idea is to survive a certain length of time and build up. So far, we have a video on the site with Kyle was actually there. Dan showed us, and I played a little bit more after that. And like, it's a really cool idea, and it's surprisingly tense because after you've done it once or twice, you get a feel for like, man, these zombies, they can really wreck you. Like, it doesn't take much.
And they can wreck you, and the worst part, or the best part, is they can like infect buildings.
Right.
So they'll take out basically the equivalent of like a house in an Age of Empires game or something like that, but then they've just fully infected it, and you need to then repair that house before it can be used again. And so it's just this gross virus spreading through the actual buildings in your base.
Which created like a really tense strategy gameplay for me. Like, I tried to be very defensive, but then you're not like building up fast enough, and so there's this interesting push-pull of like trying to get enough resources to build up faster so you can build up more defenses. But if you build up defenses too fast, then you don't have enough resources to like build up faster later on to overpower the bigger hordes. So it's really cool, but I'm kind of more excited for it. Feels like a good solid base game, and I just know me personally, like, I like having like a campaign or something to it. So I'm actually looking forward to when they finally release the campaign story mode, something like that.
Yeah, it's still early access. It plays surprisingly well. It runs really well. It plays like a smooth RTS, but really the campaign's what you're looking for. I feel like this is all the emotions you need out of an RTS game.
I guess I'm just insane. I like to have some kind of hook to go along with, like some sort of narrative thread to push me forward.
So you want one of the soldiers to look directly at the camera and just be like, God, there are billions out there, buddy.
They are. That's all I want. You know me.
Yeah.
But no, it's really good. If you are not like me and don't care about story and like RTS, I say give this a shot. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it's cool. Kyle, you've been checking out, finally, Bridge Constructor Portal.
Yeah.
Which is an odd game that came out at the tail end of December. This is, there's those weird fan-made projects like Portal Stories Mel, where fans have made it, and then Valve is like, we won't nuke you out of orbit. We'll let you put your game on Steam, even though it's called
painting
Portal.
one too. I can't remember the name, but I played through that one as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then this is actually a game where they went above and beyond and extended art design, voice actors, sound effects, everything Portal to this other developer's project. And they previously made like a Bridge Constructor game, and now this is Bridge Constructor Portal.
Yes, so it's like the title for the game is perfect because it is a game about constructing bridges and like getting cars across those bridges from point A to point B. And then this version of the game like integrates portals and turrets and the I forget the name, but the thing that launches you, the little launch pad, like those are in the game. And then the characters that you're actually moving on your car, those little 2D like stickman people that they would use in the like trailers and stuff
and
like
tutorials,
that. Yeah, and the game actually begins with like a tutorial that looks like one of those videos, and you actually have to answer a couple questions. And then GLaDOS gives you tutorials for everything.
Yeah, and it's actually the voice. It sounds great.
Yep.
There's a pretty lazy lemon joke out of the gate that I wasn't
crazy about.
Within like the first 2 minutes, they're referencing the lemon thing.
I found myself, as much as I love
that
GLaDOS,
wasn't even her joke to begin with. Come on.
As much as I love GLaDOS, and like, I did find myself skipping the dialogue because it's so tutorial heavy, and they tried to inject like GLaDOS style jokes in the middle of these tutorials. And I played like the first 15 or 20 levels, and every single one of those levels had a tutorial. And I think other than just the fantastic writing of Portal, I think another one of the reasons that like I never minded GLaDOS talking in Portal is that I still had full control. Like you could start solving the puzzle before she even started talking, but here I kind of found myself just reading and skipping the spoken dialogue just to get through the tutorial so I can build a freaking bridge.
Oh, that's and
yeah.
I don't really like building bridges to begin with. That's why I'm not an engineer.
Reminds me of your previous job.
I
That's
don't.
right.
We've talked about
those horrors
because like you like World of Goo is like one of your favorites, right, Hanson?
Love World of Goo.
Like World of Goo never clicked with me. I don't really like that style of puzzle, so I didn't really enjoy the core gameplay.
World of Goo was more action based. This feels a little bit more strategic.
But I'm just it's totally like just a personal preference of like the style of puzzles that I like. But like I think that the Portal elements of the game are integrated really well and make sense. Like it's cool to figure out how to build a bridge so the car will get enough momentum to go through the orange portal to shoot out of this portal so that it makes it to the exit and stuff
Speedy
like
thing
that.
goes in.
I'm confused. Why couldn't you just put a portal at the one side of the the other portal on the other side of the bridge. And
Well,
then
you don't
be
actually get to
done.
pick where the portals go.
Oh,
All you're doing is building the bridge, and there are
Okay.
portals already there. And then there are like turrets there that you got to make sure you drive through from behind before you. Because if you drive through their front field of view, they'll shoot you and
Sure.
kill you.
And the turrets have voices as well.
Yeah, yeah.
well, that's not even what I like about Portal then to begin with. Like, I liked the placing of the portal stuff. This is just a bridge construction game.
It's almost
With
like it's
portal
just a bridge
elements.
construction
It's
game.
almost like it's just a bridge
Which,
construction
if
game.
you like Portal and you like that style of game, this is a fantastic way to combine those things. I think they did a good job integrating Portal mechanics into this style of game. I just happen to not like this style of game.
Yeah, and it's
personally.
just out on Steam right now, but it's going to be coming out to consoles in
Yeah.
theory at some point in 2018.
How much do you think that voice actress who's done Gladys has worked outside of Portal, still playing Gladys? I think she's done more work as Gladys outside of
Oh.
Portal games at this point.
Yeah,
than she
Lego
did for-
Lego Dimensions,
She did that.
Pacific Rim 1 and
Pacific Rim.
presumably 2.
Oh, that's right.
She's done this. She's
Yeah.
done other
This-
fan
and I
projects. I
think-
think.
I think there's more dialogue in this than there is in Portal 1 maybe. I don't
That
know. It's
sounds
tough
about
to
right.
say. That's
Sure.
There's a lot in Portal.
But it's just interesting. Like, she's sort of like, she's not like the voice of Optimus Prime or anything, but like she could be. But she's done a lot of work
Yeah.
as this character.
Do you have a
which is kinda
message for her?
interesting.
Keep doing it. You're great. We love you.
Transform and roll out.
Well, Kyle, you said you also played that Portal Lego Dimensions thing,
Yeah.
which I feel like all those Lego Dimensions packs are cool little things, and everyone's happy they exist, but no one really has talked too much about them. I think
Yeah.
we briefly talked about it on the podcast a while back, and I was frustrated just by some Lego puzzles in that game. But how's your time with it?
It was fine. I that Lego Dimensions is so frustrating sometimes because it is needlessly complicated.
Yeah.
Like I got the Teen Titans pack, and it took me like 3 years and an hour of Googling to figure out how to just get to fucking Jump City.
He was
3
trying it every
years.
night. Oh my 2
God.
hours for 3
All right,
years.
I'm exaggerating, but I liked the Portal set a lot because I thought the sort of story, so to speak, was funny, and it was nice to see Wheatley again. We see GLaDOS a lot. We don't get new dialogue from Wheatley very often.
Yeah.
And I
Was
enjoyed
it
playing through it.
The Portal writers who did that?
I don't know.
Like, does it feel like that writing?
it
Or does it feel like
It-
somebody trying to do
it
Portal writing?
feels it's close enough. Like I was happy with it. It feels
Okay.
like maybe they were like it being focused towards kids. I think maybe changed how they would have written GLaDOS and Wheatley, but it worked. Like I thought it was funny, and I enjoyed hearing those voices again, and the puzzles were fun. And,
Just the Lego gameplay.
yeah. Well, yeah.
Not
I don't
different
love
for-
the Lego gameplays in general.
Yeah. By the way, people are probably really looking forward to Dragon Ball Fighters. We're gonna dive in deep on that next week. Have you tried to play the beta at all, Kyle?
No, because everyone seems to be having issues with it.
Yeah, it
So
just
I
kept
played
kicking
I
me out.
played the first beta though.
Okay.
And then we also, of course, we played at Arc Systems and Bandai Namco last year. So we've played it, but this beta I have not tried to get in.
Yeah, I guess they extended it. It
Yeah.
really did a great job of constantly kicking you out again and again and again.
Yeah.
But it's exciting. I think Cheryl's excited to talk about it next week. I did check out the Dissidia, the Final Fantasy fighting game. They also had an open beta going on, which is basically the same thing. Actually, like the fighting in Dissidia.
You were able to get in, I imagine.
There was plenty of space. But the fighting in it does remind me of a 3D Dragon Ball fighting game. Which
Yeah.
that's not
Like the
too
Xenoverse
crazy
kinda?
about this. Yeah. This is very silly. Like in the opening cutscene to see Tidus kicking a blitz ball at Kefka from Final Fantasy VI. Like I love a good mashup. And then you actually get to the gameplay. I'm not too crazy about it. But they're making a mobile game that's like a turn-based version of Dissidia. And that I'm actually
Final
curious and more
Fantasy
excited
on
about.
mobile has been just perfect so far.
Flawless.
Every Final Fantasy.
Flawless in every way. Yeah. Hero Academy 2 also came out on mobile.
Sure.
Reed, did you get a chance to check that out at all?
No.
Okay.
Is it cool? You like the first one?
I love the first one a lot. It's from Robot, a lot of former Ensemble, Age of Empires designers, Age of Mythology designers, and whatnot working on it. The sequel is from a different studio, and they shifted from 2D models to 3D models. And it seems okay, but the big shift is they also made it free to play, and now it's in a post-Hearthstone world, and so it's taking a lot of cues just from the design of Hearthstone, even just visual representation and stuff. I'm hoping I'm going to get into it, but it is. I don't know if you've had this feeling of just starting a free-to-play game and just you see the road in front of you of, okay, they really want me to build out my deck and duel other players and keep building out my deck. I don't know if I want to take one step in this direction because I know that this road will never end.
Yep.
Best case scenario, I end up spending money, which I would be happy to do for the base game, but at that point, I don't want to be slowly tricked into more and more.
I always look at the corner and see like, okay, I've got 5,000 coins and 4 gems. All right, how much do these gems cost?
All right, what is going on?
Sometimes they're pretty generous. You're like 10 gems. Wow, everything only costs like 1 gem. That's pretty good. But then you never earn another gem.
Yeah.
Because
You're
the
like,
tutorial's like, here, let's spend one of
Let's
these
spend a
gems.
gem.
You're like,
no, thanks. No, I'll skip that. Nope, you
No
got to.
thanks.
It's a weird feeling to be nostalgic for early mobile games. Have you guys hit that point though yet, where you look back on just some pure kind of more premium experiences just before free to play fully consumed the world?
Honestly, Cut the Rope is still probably one of my favorite mobile games.
I love that game.
Yeah, I loved every version of that game. They made like probably 20 of them, but
now we're at
it's
a point.
still a good game. Cut the Rope, go play it.
Do you know if it's still playable?
Oh, if it's playable, I'll play it. Yeah, I think it's still on there. I think it's still on there.
Okay, so many games now with iOS 11. I've tried going back and playing. It's just completely unplayable. Like Flappy Bird, for example, not playable.
The most
Really?
popular mobile game of all time?
Yeah,
at
it's
one
just
point?
cut out with the OS. It's insane.
weird.
Really?
No one's there to update.
So when you
it.
say
Yeah.
it's not playable, what do you mean by that?
I mean, you
like
cannot launch it with the current OS.
It doesn't
Okay.
start. You get a warning that says the developer needs to update this.
Yeah, it just sucks. You have to go through your phone and just clean out all these old games. And all right, save it for a game historian. Hopefully they're working on this stuff because it's crazy just how many games that I've had lying around just
Hopefully
no longer
Frank
able to
just
upgrade.
has tons of old iPhones loaded up with
Loaded
games.
up.
Frank's
fault
for
of
the
the
show. Jeff Cork,
Mm-hmm.
do you want to leave but then come back a little bit later for emails?
I want nothing more.
Okay, bye, buddy.
Do I have to clap?
You have to
Is it-
clap legally, yeah.
Okay.
Don't do it.
Hey, Brian Shea, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks for having me.
It's an honor to have you.
Bring Cork back.
He might be back. For now, let's talk about the Nintendo Switch, everybody. It's been a weird, wild ride throughout 2017 for that system, and towards the end, a bunch of games slipped out, and it looks like 2018 might be stranger for the Switch. But starting out, a game that was released on Switch, I feel like Nintendo fans might be interested in it. It also came out on Steam, and I think PS4, Tiny Metal.
Yeah.
Reeves, you reviewed this. This is very, very Advanced Wars inspired, right?
Very Advanced Wars inspired. And I say that as a guy who never really played Advanced Wars, but
Oh, wow.
I think I played a couple missions way back in the day. But anyway, it's very cute. If you like cute strategy, it's like the chibi style tanks and
It's pronounced chubby, but yeah.
yeah, chubby tanks. And it's, basic strategy. You have a grid, you're moving your characters around, you earn money basically for every like resource tile you have, and then you can build new dudes basically. And it's very rock paper scissors, like this character beats that, so tanks are very good against anything that's a vehicle. And then you have the little dudes with rocket launchers, and they're really good at taking down tanks, so that kind of thing.
It's an odd thing that Advanced Wars fans have been screaming for so long. Don't make Codename Steam. Go back, make a new Advanced Wars. And now, throughout this year, we're also going to have Wargroove that Chucklefish is
Yeah.
making, and this Tiny Metal game. Do you feel like Tiny Metal will fully scratch the itch for those fans? Like if they want a Advanced Wars style game on...
Don't think it totally scratches the itch. It does a little bit because it has that art style, and it actually looks better than those old games because it's like a modern game. I think it looks really cool.
Okay.
I like the style a lot, the art style a lot, and like the basic mechanics are fun. All the basics are there. Problem is, it just never really gets very like deep strategy wise. It's a very easy game. It's very casual in a sense, where you can just like throw a bunch of dudes at it. Like I said, you earn resources on a gradual pace, so it's kind of easy to just like build up a giant army and steamroll your opponent, which is fine. And your opponent's not super smart, so that kind of adds to it. So I didn't
Okay.
find it, in terms of like what a strategy game is supposed to do, offering a rich sort of like challenge, like kind of puzzly, like I want to feel like I'm out thinking my opponent. It doesn't really offer that.
Okay.
And there's not a lot of like all your units have like one basic attack. So it's either like, oh, I'm going to attack this guy, or sit there, I guess.
And what'd you end up scoring this thing?
Give it a 7.25.
All right. Well, speaking of spiritual successors, there's also Blossom Tales out on Switch now, which is super duper Zelda, right?
Yeah, it's totally like, let's make a Link to the Past style game. And like,
It definitely is a Link to the Past, like at first glance, and even at like millionth glance, it's still a Link to the Past. But like it does some really cool stuff that Link to the Past doesn't. Like they have some really fun puzzles. They have some like bullet hell style bosses.
Bullet hell, huh?
Yeah, like there's some really cool boss fights. There's some awesome puzzles. The dungeons are really creative and fun, and like it's cool just like slashing through like these legions of monsters, and the environment's fun to explore and uncover like secret weapons and yes, heart pieces.
Oh, thank God.
But is it better than Link to the Past?
It is not, but it is very good.
Really? Okay, so like if you want a good 2D Zelda experience on your Switch, you'd go for this? I mean, is
Yeah.
Oceanhorn on the Switch as well?
It is. I would
Yeah.
say I like this a lot more than Oceanhorn.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think the dungeons are a lot better in Blossom Tales than they are in Oceanhorn.
It's such a weird time for the Switch before every iteration of every possible Nintendo property has hit this thing. Because then there's also Brawlout,
Yeah.
right? Which is basically Smash Brothers. We had the developer on the show a couple weeks back, if you remember that one. But you've been playing a little bit of that, Kyle. How's that?
Yeah, it's cool. It's Cork's working on the review, I think, and we were talking about it. And what it is it's kind of like Smash Brothers, but just no items Final Destination. Like it's Smash Brothers for that specific fan,
Okay.
which is not really the kind of Smash Brothers player I am.
And no Mario.
Yeah, well, no Mario. They have all original characters, which are just, ultimately just like archetypes of familiar Smash Brothers characters. But it does have Hyper Light Drifter in it, which is very appealing to
Ooh.
me because I like that game a lot.
And didn't you say that it like adds to the lore of Hyper Light Drifter?
It kind of
What?
sets up
Really?
Brawlout to be like a prequel to Hyper Light Drifter. Like when you beat the game as Hyper Light Drifter, it actually it kind of has the opening cutscene of the game, which if you that opening cutscene in Hyper Light Drifter is very mysterious and ambiguous and like hard to understand on purpose. Like it's there to like kind of set up a mystery for the game.
Yeah.
But this kind of has like 4 images from that, and then it adds text to kind of describe what's happening. Like I learned more about the story of Hyper Light Drifter from Brawlout than I actually did from Hyper Light
Oh, it
Drifter.
turns out
in a
this is
weird
how
way.
he got hurt. He was
Yeah,
in a
it's like
brawl.
it says he has a disease in Brawlout, which is something never explicitly said in Hyper Light Drifter. It's just hinted at.
That's
So,
absurd.
but it plays well, and the online is troublesome. Like it's like I have had no good luck. I haven't been either not been able to play, or when I do play, it's like super slow.
Bro, out of luck.
Yeah, but
It's so weird with these types of games to play them and just it's tough to try and get over that hump of just it's so close to this thing that I love, but it's
Yeah.
not this thing that I
Right.
love.
there's a couple of like one of the characters' recoveries is to like create a pillar of ice below them, which is cool. And I don't think there's anything like that really in Smash Brothers. And there's a frog character with a tongue who can like lick people to pull them closer to them, which is like an interesting way to recovery, like do the third jump
Sounds
recovery.
like
So
Shay's
cool.
dating
it's
life.
got some cool stuff in it.
All right, hey, that's Brawlout. But talking about Nintendo Switch in 2018, we have to talk about the
Crawl.
Oh my God, you're right. Before we get to anything interesting, Crawl.
There's not a lot to say about Crawl. It's cool. It's like a local arcade brawler where you're kind of like constantly shifting a lead. Like sometimes you're part of a team trying to kill the guy that's alive. Sometimes you're the guy that's alive and trying to kill the other people who are controlling the monsters.
4-player dungeon crawler. We talked about it
Works
on
well
the
on
holiday
Switch.
games a little bit.
Yeah, I gave it a 7.75. It's
It's a
cool.
weird game. It's like kind of fun, like one shot, but I don't have any compulsion to really keep going back and playing it.
Yeah,
But it's a fun party game.
It's
in
a weird
sense.
cross between like a fighting game and a brawler in a
Yeah.
strange way.
But also party game, local multiplayer.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
like party game, but with a lot more rules and complications.
I can see some people really getting into it. Like
Yeah,
if you have
for
the right
sure.
friend group, like
Yeah. But you all have to learn it, you know.
playing in the office. I didn't hear you guys screaming and laughing as much as I was hoping and expected.
Yeah.
Does it not create those kind of dynamics where
There's-
it's just crazy
The
shifts?
craziest thing that kind of happens is like if you're the ghost, if you're the dead people, you can take over boxes and traps and kind of throw them at the living player. So the most like laugh out loud moments were like the living player was trying to get to the next room and someone just as he was leaving was able to hit him with a box like as
Yeah.
he was running by. And otherwise everyone's pretty intense just trying to like be the hero. Is it's not really like goofy fun. It's a very kind of violent and morbid game, so everyone's kind of focused on just trying to do the best they can.
I did really well. I felt like I leveled up the fastest as the hero, and then
Yeah.
I went into the boss room, and then you guys all get to control parts of the boss, and then I immediately died. So I don't like this game.
It's fair.
Take it or leave it, yeah. But talking about the Switch in 2018, there's still a lot we don't know. Like we talked about in last week's episode. I mean, the back half of 2018 is a mystery.
Yeah.
I mean, thinking about Nintendo at E3, they're probably going to want to unveil some more of their online initiatives than actually the paid for service. So you'd think they'd want to push that with their most online focused game, which might be Animal Crossing. Is that a stretch?
Metroid Prime, maybe.
I don't think.
I don't
Prime
Could
will
be an
that.
online
show that.
shooter. Like
It
or
might
something.
be.
Yeah.
They might want an online shooter.
Oh, maybe they could coincide it with it. Yeah, if that's going to be ready. We still don't even know who's
They
developing
have
that.
the online shooter with Splatoon, though, in a
Right.
weird way. Unless they have like a big update for Splatoon 2.
Yeah.
It
but,
might still be alive as far as like content drops.
Yeah, because they're still updating it. So.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But ARMS 2 is the answer.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that makes sense. But the first half of the year for the Switch is starting to really come into focus. Do you guys want to run down a boring release calendar?
Let's do it.
Just, I think it helps to get an idea of what's coming when
Yeah.
this whole thing's coming about. Darkest Dungeon is out today if you're listening on Thursday on
That's a
Switch.
good game. You
Which,
should play it.
Everybody loves that game that plays it. Hopefully it runs well on the Switch. We haven't checked it out yet. Bayonetta 1 and 2 both coming February 16th, February 27th, Payday 2.
Yeah.
It's going to be weird trying to communicate
Yeah,
through
a
co-op.
good fit for like a multiplayer focused system, though.
Yeah, it's
could work
interesting.
well.
If you're playing it locally, I think it'd be really fun.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Scribblenauts Showdown that just announced. I love Scribblenauts. It's coming March 6th. Kirby Star Allies co-op March 16th. Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, the port, May
Yeah.
4th is
Great
coming.
game, you should play it.
Dark Souls Remastered, May 25th. Hyrule Warriors coming in the spring 2018.
A lot of
Secretly,
ports.
very exciting. Mario Tennis Aces, which they're bringing back a story mode too. That's coming in
Yeah.
the spring as well.
I am in with that game.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm so
the
excited
last
for that thing.
the last tennis game, the Wii U tennis game, sucked.
It wasn't good.
It was bad.
But
There was
if
no
they
content.
include an
Yeah.
ambitious story mode in
Yeah,
this, like the original game,
That was like the main thing that was missing from the Wii U
Mhm.
one.
Was
It's
that-
so
Camelot working on
Was
featureless.
that Camelot on the last one as well?
Yeah.
it was.
Oh.
Yeah. So they're not.
But they've done every Mario
I
Tennis
know
game.
they did the originals.
They
that
did
were
Mario
good,
Tennis,
so-
Mario Golf.
Yeah.
I'm optimistic for it. I just don't want us to forget that the last tennis was bad.
Yeah, that's true. East 8 is being ported to the Switch,
That's
which
cool.
is easy to overlook. It's coming summer 2018.
I like that
Kim
series.
gave it an 8.25 when it came out
It's
on
a
other
fun.
systems.
It's like fun action RPG.
Wow.
There we go. World Ends With You, Final Remix, of course. That's coming to the Switch in 2018. The Yoshi is coming in 2018. But obviously this week, the most mysterious, bizarre thing to get announced. And this is coming on April 20th. Of course, Nintendo Labo? How are you guys pronouncing this?
Labo, like
We're-
lab.
We're
probably,
saying
right?
Labo.
Experimental.
This is why I love Nintendo, and this is why
Yeah.
I'm continually perplexed by Nintendo.
It's so weird.
Reeves, what is that?
You know what it looks like? It looks like one of those April Fool's jokes companies
Yes.
put out.
Yes.
Because it's a bunch of it starts out like it's cardboard and they're punching out cardboard pieces and they're constructing these weird things around the Switch and the controllers. There's like a birdhouse somebody built. I don't know what the point of that is. It starts out with like a little keyboard thing and then you start playing it and I don't know what the game is you play with that. but-
Making
Well,
that
that's just like a straight up piano. Right?
Yeah, but making that keyboard out of cardboard, that looks like a Lego set. That's so
There's-
intricate.
There's one part where this guy's using this backpack thing to punch like a robot and like they show the backpack being taken apart and there's like this crazy like clockwork of string going through that thing. I'm like, who's gonna build this? This is so ridiculous.
It's like seeing the most extravagant Kinect sets as a kid, where it's like, well, this is just leagues beyond me. I'm not going to make
Yeah.
a roller coaster with Kinects. I'll just stack some dumb Legos on top of each other. But interesting and awesome that Nintendo's trying something so
I like
weird.
it. I mean, you say like who's going to do this, but I mean, I think it appeals to like that Lego crowd.
I-
Yeah.
Like half of the fun of that is making that thing.
the reason I say that is because like if I were a marketing person over Nintendo, I'd be like, we are not making this thing. This
Yeah.
sounds dumb. But as a fan of Nintendo, I'm like, you know what? I kind of want to build some of those things,
Yeah.
and they're
Yeah.
so stupid.
It's more
they're
expensive
fun.
than I thought it would be.
Yeah, the problem is that like they're just pretty much new versions of all those cheap plastic third-party Wii peripherals that we got, but they're even like cheaper
That's
because they're made out of cardboard.
When the trailer first started, I was like, "Oh, this is smart. This is like Google Cardboard. Like they're trying to make these peripherals out of cheap material. It'll be fun to kind of like make these. It can be kind of. It's okay that they're disposable.
Yeah.
But like one set's like $70 and one's $80.
and kids don't play gentle.
Yeah.
So it's the variety kit and the robot kit, right?
Yeah.
Are the two kits?
yeah, and the robot one's the more expensive one.
But it
like.
looks like that Project Giant robot that they showed at E3 a while
Yeah,
ago.
it
That
was-
in theory they scrapped.
It was affiliated with Star Fox, and then it kind of
Yeah.
disappeared. Yeah.
Yeah, and so now it's being brought back to life thanks to Nintendo, along with just a heap and helping of cardboard.
It's so. There's no way I could have predicted. It's just. It's like. It's just like perfect Nintendo. It's like they're just doing whatever the hell they think is weird and interesting, and I admire them for that.
And
you
it's
know?
the easiest thing in the world to laugh at and mock until it takes over the entire known
Yeah,
world.
we'll see.
Yep.
Do you guys have predictions? Do you think Project?
I think
Nintendo
the price
Labo
is going to be
here?
a problem.
It's
and
gonna be
the
huge for kids.
disposability of it, I think, is going to. I think those things are going to get crushed really easily.
I think the price is too high. Like
Yeah.
I think if the price were lower, I could see it like kind of taken off in a weird way in like this
Yeah.
weird sector of kids who like to build things, which I was one of, and so I would like to build those things, but I don't want to spend that much money on this cardboard
Well,
thing.
you look at like drop mix. That's $100. I mean, obviously
Yeah.
that's
also
overpriced,
a thing I
but-
didn't buy, but yeah,
well,
good
so they
point.
showed the fishing rod. That was cool, right?
Children will demand this
Yeah.
from their parents.
Yeah, well, like if it was like Nintendo released a fishing game, which would be exciting on its own, and then there was like it was $50 and it came with the cardboard stuff. Like that seems like where it would work.
But that's the past. In theory, just having this variety
Yeah.
kit, and you can make all these
'Cause
different
it's-
things, and then
it's-
developers can keep making.
it's $70
software for
for
it.
like a bunch of things. So yeah, I don't know. I think it has the potential to be huge for sure.
It
Like,
does.
Until
absolutely.
somebody pours orange juice on it,
Yeah.
and then your controller disintegrates.
Well, if you did that on your Switch, it wouldn't fare very well either.
It's true. I love seeing the little weird random placements of where you put the Joy-Cons in each
Yeah.
cardboard building.
Yeah.
All right,
Like
and then
the
you
chimney on the house.
Yes, like the toy house.
What do they call them? Toy cons?
Toy-Con.
Toy-Con.
It's
Really
a very
good.
good name.
good name.
It's
They're
very
great
good at
game.
those things. I'm excited for it. It's weird. It is so weird. But I just like that. It's just no, who else is doing anything like that?
Do amiibos integrate with the
Oh,
Toy-Cons?
well, yeah, because it just uses the Joy-Con. So yeah, of course you could scan the amiibo
Ooh.
on there.
So you could build a little cardboard. I gotta get used to saying this. Labo house,
Yeah.
and then you could set up your little amiibos inside, and it could be like the Home
This-
Alone
this-
house
oh,
where they're all
and
dancing
Animal
on the
Crossing.
inside.
Animal Crossing comes into play with
yeah,
that.
and
Oh.
Gotta.
the screen probably emulates like what's happening inside the house.
Oh, God.
I like the idea of like this console that you can take apart and integrate into a different toy. Like it's
Yeah.
weird. Like what else can do that?
I
You
really
know?
want to know what development talent within Nintendo is doing this. Like, who is?
Oh, it's
making
Aonuma and Miyamoto.
Do you know that?
Well, not
No.
Aonuma.
No, Aonuma.
Oh, okay.
No,
Never
I'm
mind.
just kidding. It's not. I don't know. They haven't said anything.
I do like the idea. I would love to have been in that pitch meeting of like, hey, we want to build cardboard things
very
around our
first
console.
one.
And I probably would have been very lost because they were talking in Japanese. But I don't know. I still would
To
have liked
have been a
there.
Japanese speaking fly on that
Yeah.
wall.
Oh, just think about it. No, but like, I wonder. A part of me, I'm sure it's not going to be an overwhelming amount of software. There's a part of me just feels
No.
like just focus on the Switch, because already branching things out with the 3DS development and their console development, it was so nice when that was beginning to merge. And I feel like we're just getting to the point of like everyone's focused on Switch. This is awesome in theory that 2D Zelda team is making something new for the Switch. Everyone's focused on Switch. And then Labo is like, well, now we're going to carve off some really talented Nintendo
Yeah.
developers to make bizarre
Yeah. Oh, maybe.
fishing software for this piece of cardboard that I'm going to have lying around my house.
It definitely fits into that recent Miyamoto quote where he was like, "Yeah, we like to hire people who don't really play video games." Like that is 100% someone in Nintendo who's like, "I don't. What do I do with this? Let me put it in something. I'll put it in a cardboard house."
Final prediction: end of the year, 2018. Success story or classic weird Nintendo offshoot that everybody forgets about, like We Speak. Where's
Oh, are we
where's it gonna
going?
be? Yes.
A success story.
I want to go last.
Okay.
Success story.
What was that? I
I want to go after Reeves.
okay.
Success
here's
story!
Man. I suspect that they will have dropped the price by the end of the year, but then it might take.
Oh, maybe.
So once the price drops,
Yeah.
It will be the laughing stock of this office throughout its entire life, and it will sell like gangbusters.
Yeah.
The
And he will
laughing
not
stock-
stop making fun of it for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
and it will fill a room somewhere in the Game Informer
Yes,
office
yeah.
with a bunch of Nintendo Labo pieces.
We'll clear out the harmonics graveyard and we'll fill it with the Labo graveyard.
what a world! God,
It's
I
so
love
weird.
it. I love
What
it.
I wonder if this was spawned like a fan community of like, here, I printed off these new plans for this other Labo kit, and like people just like taking normal cardboard boxes and like printing off like sketches where they can just like trace their own patterns and like build their own things out of it. Like that would be kind of cool.
Oh, you're saying like other developers will like say, hey, we made a Labo game, but it's not official. Just get some cardboard and cut out these
Well, I was
pieces.
And it's
saying
not
just
gonna be as
fans,
good.
But yeah,
Yeah. Oh, okay. Both of you are right.
yeah,
It's not going to be as good. It's going to be made by fans.
right.
That feels good. All right, you guys ready to move on to emails?
Yeah, that
Yeah,
sounds
let's
great.
do it.
I love emails.
All right, let's check it out. And welcome back to the Game Informer Show. We have some great emails that people sent into podcast@gameinformer.com. They were so great. The first email just said, bring back Jeff Cork. So, hey, Jeff, welcome back to the podcast. You did it.
Who wrote that?
That's probably some guy named Nick. And so people write into podcast@gameinformer.com. We choose the best of the best, read them all off. Then we choose our absolute favorite. And then we're going to ship that person out something really, really nice. Jeff Cork is the nicest thing you could possibly imagine.
The nicest thing.
Yes. So questions, comments, feedback, anything under the sun, send it to podcast@gameinformer.com. Really, it could be anything that you think would make the show better. I'm sorry if I don't read your email on air. We got a lot of them in the last week, which is amazing. And I loved each and every one. So don't take any offense no matter what.
You forwarded one to me that was very racist.
Well,
though. I don't know why you liked that one.
We had one racist listener to the show, and I hope he stops listening.
It was really gross.
Okay, thank you for pointing that
So
out.
that was
You're
the
welcome.
one that you didn't love, is what we're getting at, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Every other one is great. Thank you for listening, kind community. Nick from Atlanta writes in and says, "Dear informers of games," that's us. I'm skipping a question this week to voice my support of something you floated last week. I am absolutely, overwhelmingly, 5,000% behind a Monster Hunter World Game Club. I'm relatively new to the series, having only jumped on with Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, but I fell in love instantly. And he said he's willing to jump into the Overblood group. He's willing to help in any way to train up new Monster Hunter fans.
Wow.
So, Nick from Atlanta, please do, because starting on February 1st will be the first episode that contains a Monster Hunter World Game Club, where we're going to actually play the game and talk about it in this big communal thing.
You're going to do that?
We're going
Cool.
to do that. What do you think, Jeff Cork?
I'll do it.
Is there a lot to talk about with that game?
I skimmed it.
Okay, to the best of your knowledge.
When does the game come out? Do we know
It
off the top
comes
of our
out
heads?
next Friday.
Okay.
And so this will be the episode after the Friday that the game actually
So you have like a
comes out.
week.
2 weeks,
Yes.
basically, from
Yes. But next week we are going to talk about Monster Hunter World. Dantac, I believe, has a ton to say about it. Maybe some other folks. So we'll dive in deep. Game Center sucks.
The iPhone?
I'm sorry. This name is Game Center USX. Not Game Center sucks at all. Says, hey, just so you guys know, Captain Phasma's armor was made from the hull of Sheev's personal Naboo shuttle,
Oh, naturally.
therefore being durable enough to deflect a shot. This is something we talked about before in the podcast.
Right.
Also, dumbest thing of the prequel trilogy, so this person, revealing that Palpatine's first name is Sheev. Did you know that?
Sheev Palpatine?
That was in the prequels?
Apparently it's in the lore. I guess it's just weird, and everyone just calls him by his last name. I just assumed it was a Madonna situation.
It's like we all call you Hanson.
Yes, exactly.
There was
But my
another-
first name is Sheev.
There was another Sheev in the that they had to call him by his last name.
It was very complicated. The Senate was a big place, man. You saw those little ETs floating around that dumb thing. Matt McKenna from New York says, "Hey, gang, this is in regards to your question last podcast about the greatest hits and platinum hits games disappearing from store shelves. I think it has to do with the fact that they've been replaced by Game of the Year editions and definitive editions of games. Instead of reprinting a game for a discount and reselling it, they can just put all the DLC and add-ons for a game on the disc and sell it at regular retail price again." Also, Eli from Austin, Texas says that Xbox One actually does have the greatest hits thing. It's just a smaller little insignia. Like Need for Speed Rivals has it, but PlayStation 4, it's not on there anymore.
And then
For a while, I was against like buying those versions. Like I wanted the original black copy. Like,
Get that black spine PlayStation
Yeah.
1 games, none of that
get
green
this red
gross
spine
stuff.
out of here.
You're one edition or bust. That's what I say.
Come on.
Nintendo actually this week, after we talked about last week, and then I think it was like Tuesday or Monday, they sent out a press release that they were releasing, I think, Super Mario 3D Land, NES Remix, and Link Between Worlds for $20 with new packaging. So Nintendo's still doing it.
This is basically the equivalent.
Yawn,
yeah.
Kyle. Thanks for
I
contributing.
thought it was interesting.
That's fascinating. I think 3D Land got enough credit.
I think that was a really good game.
I think it's
Yeah, I think
incredible.
it's
I think it's the best 3DS game.
Honestly, if you play it
Mm.
as a single player campaign.
Wait, no, we're talking about the 3DS game, which is a single player game.
Right. That's why I'm saying you should play it
So
that way.
if you're playing it as it was designed,
Sorry, I confused it with the Wii U
yeah,
version.
which also both of those,
But
were
also 3D
underappreciated.
Land on the 3DS is good.
Yes, it's fantastic.
Marty C.
Good
From-
contribution.
Yeah, thanks, Reeves.
Beyond. Sorry, I'm tired.
Marty C. from Springfield, Illinois says, "Hey, podcast crew, I was wondering if there was any excitement in the Game Informer offices surrounding the launch of Overwatch League. Anyone plan on watching or following along with specific teams throughout the season?"
Reeves, can you do your Doc Brown impression real quick for this email?
Marty!
Thank you.
Good.
What was there?
Jeff
More
Cork,
to
you
that?
tuned in
That's
a
his
little bit
name
of
was
that.
Marty.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I watched. I think you and I both watched like the first night,
Yeah.
and I just say like I really love playing Overwatch.
Yes.
I learned I do not want to watch others play Overwatch. awful. It was just like watching just random, like, remember in Lost when Jacob was when people were strapped to the chair and then that brainwashing video was just like flashing all that random crap? That's what it was like. And I was like, I'm very familiar with these characters and how their moves work and the levels. And I could not track what was happening at any moment. It was insane.
Apparently it has 10 million viewers. So it's one of those things where I'm willing to admit that maybe we're wrong or old or stodgy or something.
Old.
Do your kids, did they watch it?
Oh, yeah. They're very into it.
They're into it.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that there's something there. Like, I think if there was some kind of interface where I could like switch over from the viewpoint of the character or player that I'm most interested in seeing the match from that perspective,
Or another input on your TV.
literally anything other than just watching someone else kind of change the channels and then switch to an overhead view with like pucks with character faces on it, and it's like I could not track what was going on.
And this isn't like, you know, a pure anti-streaming thing. Like, I think like PUBG, there's plenty of games that are super fun to watch.
Absolutely.
RTS games, I'll even give it up for MOBAs, even though I'm not a fan of playing them, but watching it, sure, totally get it. But Overwatch is just so tough to follow. And it's a problem, I think, when us, like fans of the game that know the game, watch it and have no sense of the drama, no sense of what's happening.
Well, it was weird too, because like they would have at certain points, they would have highlights from matches and do recaps, and those were always very fascinating because you could see like this crazy sniper shot or like a Pharah taking on another Pharah from halfway across the map, and you're just like, that's really impressive. But the unedited, as it happens, moment by moment, it's at least I had a really difficult time tracking it. I talked to Reiner about that, and he said that as the like future later on, they were kind of figuring out how to do it a little better. So I might tune in again and check it out because I'm excited about the opportunity to see more like pro level Overwatch. Is fun.
You want to see great players, but when it just your brain wants to melt when you're watching it, it might be a slight problem.
I don't even like to watch football, so I don't know if I'm gonna ever like embrace the idea of watching like some video game when I could go play that game. Like, I think that's more compelling to me. But
much of it felt like if it like in a football game, individual players had cameras on their heads, and then the broadcast booth was just randomly switching from both teams, players on like all over the place,
to the fly-by-wire camera that's just constantly moving all over the
and then
place.
like pulling up to like a overhead blimp view of the field, and then like little icons, and then going back to another player. And
I mean,
like, you don't get a sense of like the flow of the match and where things are. At least I was unable to get
do they have the tech where they can have an independent camera floating around
They
in
do.
the game?
They do have that.
So they do have that.
But even from that outside perspective, it's just so tough to figure out what is this character doing that's impressive. But then when you're first person, it's so fast.
And also you have like a lot of these levels, there's interiors and corridors. So it's not like you have a good bird's eye perspective that you can get in a lot of other like streaming games that are popular.
Right.
I don't know.
Maybe
but yeah,
they need to have the match and then like have an editor come through and like do a cut that's like, this is what happened in this match, and here's all the angles and the appropriate like way to look at this game, and then you'll understand why this was a good play or something. That could be kind of fascinating.
no one
you
likes
can't watch
live
it.
sports.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure we can find that in some way. Just the recap of the most impressive plays from Overwatch League. But Reiner seems very into the Seoul team, which dominated this last tournament, which is kind of like, it's kind of the obvious choice.
Sure.
You know.
The guys who are
But,
good.
Yeah, that's spoken like a true Cubs fan, right?
M. Chris Galvin says, what is something you all learned from Game Informer's top 50 games discussion for 2017? You often talk about the points where you put your heel in the sand and make a stand for the games that you love, but what points did your coworkers make that made you concede and accept their point? I learned that I can never predict what news stories Andy will think are important for the industry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was
Like what?
it was tough to like argue for what we thought like were the important stories. Like the one for us was the Half-Life 3 stuff that happened.
Yeah. And some people in the
something
office,
Andy just didn't think was interesting or a big deal.
It's like, writer posted something on a blog. Guy posts blog, not a great news story. It's like, wait, but it's the entire Half-Life. This is the conclusion that we're going to get for the saga. But it's like, not so much. I learned that apparently the office is very into the character of Aloy, which
I like Aloy a lot.
She's fine. She's completely fine. But the idea that she's like this fucking pinnacle of character design for 2017, it's a little...
Yeah.
I don't know. I think
with
she's
you.
really like smart and like stoic in a way that you don't see a lot of female characters. We don't need to get
Nothing
into all
better
this.
than a stoic character.
I don't know. I like her. And I won, so she's on the list.
She is definitely on that list. Yes, absolutely. What stood out to you, Reeves?
I don't know. Well, I feel like I've already talked about it, but like the fact that Greg isn't the best character from Night in the Woods, like it just blows my mind. Yeah, I can't remember. It's always interesting just to see like how much are people going to go to bat for certain games. Like I know Joe's a huge fan of Final Fantasy 15, but how much is he really going to like? Because that game kind of sucked. Like, is he really going to fight for that? And
I don't know why he was arguing for it.
that was last year.
That was 2 years ago. But for example, it's kind of interesting to see like, okay, what are people going to go to for each game? And it's different based on each person basis, but it's always kind of fun to see the games they throw down for.
Yeah, especially when Nier comes up, and it's one of those things where, oh, I guess a lot of people in the office played Nier. Okay, there is this passionate fan base. Like I hear it from around the industry, but I hadn't heard it internally that much. And then it's just, oh no, it was there under the surface the whole time. Reeves, I loved it when you fought for Mario 3D World. I thought that was a good choice.
It's a really good game, man.
But only if you play it alone.
You got to play it single player style.
Jim Pinto says, all right, Benny boy. So all last year, it seems like everyone was demanding new IP with all the sequels releasing, and especially after the recent Bioshock replay. I cannot wrap my head around the dismissal of Arcane's Prey. It's my personal game of the year for 2017. I really think it does immersive sims as well as any other game in the genre. What the heck happened? Why didn't it get its due?
Well, talking about new IP, though, I don't know if that quite qualifies, but
it's messy.
I really like that game. I'm actually kind of sad that it didn't make my top 10. It was just such a good year. It was like a good number 11. Is kind of where it was on my list. But I really like that game as well. Like I'm a big Dishonored fan, so I like that kind of immersive sim, like systems-based gameplay where you can like do things and like find crazy solutions to problems.
You mean a gamer-ass game for gamers?
That's totally what it was.
Okay,
that's correct.
Gotcha.
But I know, Cork, did you play that as well?
Yeah, that was one where I would like to go back to it. I got to a section, I found that the waypoints made it really difficult to find where I was supposed to be going next. Like I never especially when you're out kind of in open space, and then there's a couple of things like a couple of side missions. I kind of was like, I want to complete these before I move along with the story, but it's telling me to go through this place, but it's guiding me through a wall which I can't pass through. I think ran out of steam at that point.
I think their map system wasn't very good.
Yeah, I think that's a more succinct way of explaining.
So that's why it didn't hit with the mass.
It was also kind of hard as balls. I don't know if that's it wasn't that hard, but it was pretty easy. No, what I'm trying to say is it was hard.
Okay, Reeves?
Hold on. My brain's melting. It was a challenging game, I think, especially if you're a newcomer, and you could not approach it as like a shooter very well, which I think a lot of people probably saw it as like, oh, it's a space shooter. Like I'll use guns, but you'll run out of ammo pretty quick, and it's kind of a hard shooter, so you really want to rely on your powers, and stealth is kind of key in that game. I don't think you can approach every fight and expect to beat the game by just shooting everything.
It's also just a really tough game, I'd imagine, to market, to get out there and just be like, hey, immersive sim crowd, huh? Like, how about you all gather around? It's like that audience is out there, and they're awesome. They're old school, incredible gaming community. But I don't think they're really going to lose their mind in hype over this game on the internet in a way that was easily apparent. And even just simple stuff like, what do you show for the go-to image of Prey?
That thing turned it into a mug.
Yes, I guess, but like that's such a weird abstract concept for like the defining key art, where it's like, oh, I guess you could do woo. Is it you? You. Yeah. It's like, okay, you could show that character, but even the fact that there's two, the male or the female option, kind of muddies that water. I think it's just a really tough game to message.
But it was a fun game. I had a lot of fun with it for like that month I was playing it.
Fun game. Miles from Eden Prairie says, hey, GI, have you ever thought about bringing back Replay Real Life? Or did the image of Joe's bloody dive onto the ground while playing basketball make you clench your fist, shed a tear, and say never again? It'd be fun to see you guys try out one of those 1-hour room escapes they have in Minneapolis. Bonus points if you bring the Bizarre Detective with you on a room escape.
Bizarre Detective.
I don't know if we'd ever do Replay Real Life again. We did it on an episode of Replay. I think it's the Stubbs of the Zombie episode.
Man,
I want to dive in.
Dan Reichert was still here.
It's Reichert and Joe in one-on-one basketball. The real reason why probably is it took a lot of time to go out and shoot and edit.
Well, every year for our holiday party we have bowling. And I'm always like, we should do Replay Real Life bowling. But it's just the sort of like the struggle of actually doing that and going and filming someone playing bowling for like 2 hours to edit into like a 30-minute
The
video.
editing is the part that'll really kill you.
Yeah.
And you have to play bowling.
And you have to
You
play
have to
bowling.
play bowling.
You have to play bowling. You guys want to play some bowling?
Yeah. That replay real
Yeah,
life
guys.
with Juba is great because it is very satisfying if you like watching just a smug we'll make your job easier S-talker just get completely obliterated. And it is great for that.
It's very uncomfortable.
I want to do a replay real life Scrabble at some point, Leo. If we could just play a game of Scrabble.
Words with Friends, we just do a replay.
Sounds pretty
All right.
good.
I would like to make Joe bleed some more, so we
Oh,
can
okay.
make that happen.
Lawn
in
darts or something?
whatever video form we want.
Meet
That'd be
Joe Bleed. Sam from Modesto, California says, "Hey crew, I have a quick question for everybody. What are some lesser known games you invested more time in than the average player? I was thinking about this while playing Downwell, which is a game that I've played for way longer than I'd like to admit. The under the radar game that you've sunk way too much time into."
I thought about this one in advance. I have an example that I was looking at my phone earlier to figure out. I have it's a random like solitaire game that I downloaded like 4 iPhones ago that still continues to work on the new
Wow.
operating system, which is nice. And it tracks my stats. And I have put 77 hours into it and have played just under 600 games of solitaire on this just very simple solitaire iPhone game.
How simple? Let's see it.
I mean, it's just
It just
you want
looks
me to
like-
hold it up. It's just
It looks
solitaire.
like lame ass
Yeah,
basic
But
solitaire.
it's just like I just wanted a decent solitaire game on my phone, and there's been times in my life where I have just played this endlessly for like days at a time, just
So
playing solitaire.
when
over
you
and over.
win the game, does the king wink at you?
no, it kind of jumps the cards all around like it did, like
Ah,
old
lame.
school style.
I feel like it has to be a mobile game for this category. It's just the secret time suck.
Yeah.
On flights in particular, I spend way too much time just playing Bejeweled Blitz over and over and over again. But I'd love to dive into the stats on that thing because I've been playing it for years and years and years. But Cork, this is probably sacrilege. I don't care at all about the high score. I just find Bejeweled as a basic concept really satisfying for my brain.
I'm with
And
you.
so I never buy power-ups or use power-ups. So after every 1 minute round, it'll pop up and say, be sure to equip this power-up into this slot and then deploy it throughout the game. It's like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to. So I just like basically break the game to play as boring and default as a version of Bejeweled Blitz as possible.
You just want just no bones, just match 3. You just
No
want to match
bones.
3 things.
Yeah.
That's it.
There's
That's it.
an alternate history where we're still using traditional like CRT displays that require screensavers, and After Dark has released a screensaver in conjunction with PopCap/EA that is just endless Bejeweled chain. Where you just
as a
sit there and watch
screensaver?
it as a screensaver. You
Oh
don't
my
play it or
gosh.
interact with it, but it's just a constant combo of Bejeweled.
Do you want me to put that on the
Genius.
lid of your coffin when you die?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
It'll be quietly playing underground.
Yes.
One other one I think that Reeves and I share. I think you know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
What? I was gonna say something.
Please don't.
It's Picross.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So much
It's a
time in
good game.
Picross. Hours.
Cork, what do you waste your time with?
Oh god, just some terrible idle game. Like I think right now I'm playing a bunch of the first Clicker Heroes again on my
Oh
phone.
wow.
I reinstalled that.
Do you have any idea about the stats of how long that game has been open on your phone? Any
Oh,
of those
good
clicker
God.
games? Because it is absurd. It's at least 8 hours a day.
Yeah, I
Can
mean
we look
Cork
up
has
those
a whole
stats?
Cork has a system, like a
I
2-finger.
don't play, that was Tap Titans.
Oh, excuse me.
I'm at the point with
Tap
Clicker Heroes where I don't have to click anymore or tap or
Oh,
anything because
okay,
it's all.
okay.
I just like building systems that kind of maintain.
It's really
themselves in
saving
games.
your arm.
It really
muscles,
is,
yeah.
and it's doing me a favor.
Yeah,
by
for
not
sure.
giving me carpal tunnel.
Jeez.
I actually still have a game of Cookie Clicker running on my work computer.
I hear it sometimes. It's
I still
really
look
funny.
at it.
You're like,
It's-
oh, but it's working really. Oh, wait a second.
click,
That's
click,
all
click,
mouse.
It's all
That's
mouse.
all mouse, baby. Caleb from Greenwood, South Carolina says on Steam, when you plug in a PS4 controller, on
What?
Steam, it lets you turn off the PS4 controller light.
What?
Why can't Sony allow you to do this on your own console, on their own console? That's what I want, Sony. A big blue flashlight aimed at my TV when I play games, says Caleb.
Oh, that's sarcastic.
Yeah, I didn't know that you could do that if you plugged in a
didn't
PS4
either.
controller, that you could actually, maybe it's through some third-party software,
I don't know how that
firmware, or
works.
something.
I would love it if you could turn off that light though, because that would save on the battery. and that's one of the big battery drains I think on that.
Do you have a
thing.
message for the controller manufacturers of the world?
Hey, turn off that light.
There we go.
You can dim it.
This is Trent. Oh yeah, I dimmed that sucker, but
Yeah.
it's still enough
Well,
to
they're
really
still
glow
on.
in the TV.
Not to quickly move on too quickly, but the base question was why doesn't Sony
Yes.
let you? I don't know. Like I don't understand why they're so insistent on keeping that light on.
Just so the PlayStation 4 eye camera can track you if it needs to at any point.
Okay, maybe that's what it is.
I don't know. I guess it's fun to see what color it turns, right, guys?
No.
How often do you look at it?
I
when it
can't
changes
stop.
color?
When you play
I play
GTA,
like this.
when you play GTA 5 and you're getting chased by police, it flashes red and blue.
I'm surprised you even
Great.
noticed that. I don't think I ever noticed what color it is.
Trent Weber from Aurora, Colorado says, "Hello. It's not only your podcast."
What?
I don't know.
Wait, is this the racist one?
How dare you? I always tweak the intro to these emails reflexively, but he says, hi gang. And he
Hello.
says, it's not only your podcast, but almost every game related podcast I listen to does this. How often do you think the average person flies? Whenever you talk about the advantages of the Switch, one of the first things brought up is you can take it on a plane. Imagine Zelda on a plane. I know in your industry that allows you to fly often, this happens a fair amount, but I think it's less crucial for the average person. I feel like I travel fairly often and have maybe flown 3 times a year. My roommate has flown 0. I just find this quote-unquote key feature of the Switch kind of funny.
Take it on the bus, you rube.
Yeah, come on.
That's a completely legitimate statement.
It is true. I
'Cause
mean,
people always, like, it's the same thing when I hear someone saying like, "Hey, I can take it on the subway." I'm like, I don't ride no freaking subway.
yeah, I never will. And even, I fly a lot, but even that's once a month.
Yeah.
There's like 2 flights that I can bring a Switch for, but I guess it's just such a heightened time for gaming because you have such pure focus that
Sure.
it makes a big impact on the people that do fly, but I totally get it.
It
It's
is interesting because like a lot of people in our industry have brought up that same topic, and like I don't know if we're just living in a bubble and people don't need the portable aspect of the Switch. You think that's the case? Like,
Yeah,
people
and
don't
outside
care
the
if it's
bubble,
portable?
people like watching Twitch and Overwatch League.
Oh,
But no, to his point, I mean, even Nintendo at the grand reveal, the Nintendo Switch that we went to, remember they had like fake stations set up where it's like, oh, here's a fake cafe. You can go over and talk to the alien from Star Wars Episode 2. Or over here, we have like the fake plane set up.
that's right.
Yeah.
So you can practice playing Mario Kart in a real plane environment. Like, it's a big messaging point, and it's just not used very often.
I think it's just the way to like quickly say it's portable. Like if you just say the phrase, "Oh, it's portable," you can take it anywhere. That's one thing. But to say like you can take it on a plane has more impact.
Yeah, it's not as
Like, it's
impressive
a
to
marketing
be like,
thing.
it's portable. Like, look at me on my couch
Yeah.
to a different couch.
Yeah. I mean,
Versus like airplane is like a flying couch.
you're in the air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quite literally.
But
You're in a
they
chair in
make
the
a,
sky.
a totally solid point there for sure.
Joe writes in with an interesting story. Is Joe here from Washington, D.C., which in and of itself is an interesting story. But he says that he has a friend who works at Tesla, and that apparently this friend put Todd Howard in touch with Elon Musk, because I guess Elon Musk is a huge fan of Bethesda's games.
Oh, yeah?
And so they're emailing back and forth, which
That's
is
cool.
a weird connection to think that those two are talking. He says, have you ever experienced developers asking you to connect them to others in the industry? Can you share any behind-the-scenes stories about people in the industry connecting, and if those connections led to something cool down the road?
You connected Todd Howard with Notch, and I think that led to a lawsuit, right? Is
It
that-
led to a lawsuit. No, not directly. But although to be fair, they did release a Skyrim skin pack in Minecraft. Probably completely independent of that meeting, but in theory, maybe that got some sort of ball rolling in some way other than the Scrolls lawsuit.
Peter Molyneux and Fart Apps. Dan Raker connected those two.
And now his lucrative, juicy career making fart sounds, it's completely paid off.
Well, you got a lot of people on the podcast, like for roundtables and stuff, that are always interesting. Like
Yeah.
the Breath of the Wild roundtable with Levine and others.
Yeah, I guess so. Nothing concrete has come out of that. I think of, and just to be clear, I'm not taking any credit for what came of this, but technically, I'm the one that connected Two Player Productions and Tim Schafer with Double
Really?
Fine, which led to that whole thing. led to
I'm
all
sure
of
they would have
Broken.
done that anyway.
They absolutely would
You're
have.
just quick to jump in there. Like,
It is
oh,
true.
look what I did.
I was the one to share those emails,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, take
but
all
I'm
the
sure
credit.
they
Yep.
could have asked anybody else and gotten.
Oh, look what I did.
But they
Tim
asked
Schafer.
you, and that's what's important.
I'm just saying.
I connected the Twisted Pixel guys with Jimmy Fallon's agent, which I'm not even joking about. They actually asked me for his agent. And this was like 4 years ago, and I think that's led to nothing so far, so you're welcome.
All right.
Twisted
Nice.
Pixel
That's
invented
right.
thank you notes.
I'm trying to
pretty
figure
sure.
out, like, oh, man, what was that they were working on? And I was like, I have no idea. Like,
Please play Loco Cycle on your show. sir.
I think it was, yeah, maybe they were. I think they
Misplosion Man?
wanted him for a game though, but I'm like, they wouldn't have put
Oh,
him in
weird.
Wilson's heart. Like,
What
would
was
they put him in?
well, he was in that that jetpack game that we all remember. You guys remember that game?
Jetpack Joyride.
Nope. The the one with Nolan North. It was a
Dark Void.
Dark Void, the Game Boy Advance game.
Jimmy Fallon was?
Or the DS game. If you look at the booklet for that game, there's a story about young Jimmy Fallon winning like a contest to design a game. That was all fake. That Jimmy Fallon was totally involved with.
How do you know this?
Everybody knows this.
What
This
the
is
hell are
common
you
knowledge.
Are you messing with us?
No, I'm. This
You
is
know
for real.
about the DS booklet for Dark Void?
Duh.
Yeah. Yeah, and they photoshopped a picture of young Jimmy Fallon pretending that he had invented the backstory for Dark Void in like a contest or something like
But
that.
this is in the actual retail release of the game.
They made a
Yeah, it was an
DS
eShop- it was an
version
eShop
of Dark
game.
Void?
Yeah, and Jimmy Fallon was like involved in the booklet.
You are a loon, Pat.
You're the king of obscure facts.
How dare you? Scott Campbell, speaking of Double Fine, Scott Campbell writes in and says, why don't independent developers get together and collaborate on a quote-unquote orange box physical release and split the profits?
A humble
Especially-
bundle of sorts.
Speaking of Bumble,
Bumble.
He says, especially on Switch, this is what he's looking for. It's not very common, but they do it. Like UFO 50, Derek Yu, and others have gathered together to create that weird bundle. I don't know if that's coming to Switch necessarily, but Sports Friends is another example.
Yeah.
Towards the end of, was that launch PS4 or towards the end of PS3?
Yeah, it was PS4 for sure.
Okay. That had,
Early
like Johann
PS4.
Sebastian Joust and a bunch of
Yeah.
other little fun local multiplayer games, which is a cool package. But yeah, I wish developers did more of that.
Xbox Live Arcade games had a lot of like bundled. I think you could get like Explosion Man and like Braid or something together on one disc. I
That's
could be
pretty
wrong
good.
about that, but
Hey, pretty good.
Hey,
good.
That's not
But I mean, I don't know. I think they are fine. Just they're so cheap. I mean, relatively speaking, like it's cheap to buy an indie game on Switch on its own. You don't need to package it with 4 others and charge $40. You know.
It's true. RJ from Dominican Republic says, hey, crew, on community emails, for your consideration, can you consider emails outside of the U.S. as a winner, even if you don't send anything? The second best U.S. email can get a prize. We like to win as well.
Not with that question.
It's an interesting idea, RJ. I do feel bad because we only ship within the United States
Yeah.
for our fun email prizes, but it would be nice to come up with something for the good international listeners. But for another day, quick question.
The answer is no. Sorry.
I'll think about it. RJ says, do you see yourself gaming at age 70 or above with that sweet PS7, Xbox Fargo 1, or Nintendo
Fargo?
Deer Hunter? I don't
What?
know. You guessed that. The
Nintendo's
Nintendo
gonna go
console.
through a lot of
Deer
management
Hunter.
changes.
I like that actually. I would play the Deer Hunter.
You promise?
Oh,
Based on the film,
I'll be
or
Are you going to be playing at 70?
I imagine I'll still be
I hope
playing. I
so.
don't know why I wouldn't.
you might be dead.
What will you be playing?
Picross,
Okay.
Solitaire on my iPhone.
Jeff Quirk in 2021, are you going to be playing games or boink,
Oh, boy.
wink, wink?
Yes.
Do you plan on playing games at 70?
Yeah, why not? I mean, if my hands work.
You're almost there,
What's
right?
to stop me?
What's to stop
probably.
me?
We'll see.
Mike S. says, 2 years ago, I graduated with a bachelor's degree in psychology, but I chose it for all the wrong reasons. He then goes into his full history. He's basically wondering, is it too late to get into the game journalism business? And is a journalism degree required to work at places like Game Informer? I'm 26 now, and with every day that passes, I feel like I missed my shot to get into the industry. What do you guys think?
You do not need
Calls
a
you?
journalism degree.
You need a master's.
That's right.
Science.
Your writing can speak for itself. Ultimately,
Yeah.
is what it comes to. So the best thing you can do is just start writing. If you really want to do it, start a blog and start writing reviews and stuff.
You can start a blog, send it Ben Reeves' way for the
Yeah.
internship program.
You can apply to our internship. We have about nine interns a year come through the
Roughly.
office. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a better shot than being an editor, honestly. Yeah. I mean, I would just say, like, I don't know. I hate to say give up on your dream or anything, but
But
Think about it.
Never give up on your dream.
There we go.
There we go.
But how do
Yeah,
you?
but I do want to like accentuate. Like you don't. There's no like specific degree. Like it really. We look at the writing. I haven't been involved in any hiring here, but like.
But
we have lots of people here who do not have degrees, or do have degrees, or have masters. Or
Some
just
people have
bachelors.
it's a wide swath, and
Yeah.
it really matters more your writing.
Yeah.
Like how good is your writing? How knowledgeable about the industry are you?
How attractive you are.
How attractive
Okay.
you are.
how do you apply for this Game Informer internship?
You can send me an email, or you can send Jeff Cork an email. I'm Ben at GameInformer.com. We usually post something on the site every 3 months. So we're going through the training of the interns, the new set of interns right now. And then the next round, we'll probably start looking at applications in April for the summer term.
So what's the real quick? Went into psychology for all the wrong reasons. What's going on there?
Yeah, you skipped over the history.
Yeah, I want to hear give me the.
I edited this email before I copied and pasted
Did
it.
he
so-
become a stage hypnotist? Is that what's going on?
No, I think he just realized that he was more passionate about writing.
Okay.
at the
Hey,
end.
what I'll say is keep doing it. And it's a fun hobby, if nothing else. But at least you'll feel good pursuing what you love more than just if you give up.
And use your psychology background to take a different perspective on things.
Microtransactions. You can help be a consultant on how to best take advantage of people's vulnerabilities.
I'll also say video game journalism isn't super lucrative. So if
Keep
you
that
went
in
into
mind.
making games, you might enjoy that as well and make more money.
There we go. Let's see. Good afternoon, crew. Ben Reeves suggested we write in with haikus last week,
I did.
although he probably doesn't remember that.
Nope.
Regardless, my email is the form of one. One listener during the mail section was wondering if there were any fantasy RPGs without spiders. This person wrote in haiku. Jeff Cork, as the haiku master, would you like to read?
I want nothing
This
more.
haiku.
Spiders are missing from Zelda Breath of the Wild. Guardians? 6 legs.
That's pretty good.
That's good.
That's a good
That's
haiku.
beautiful. And he also says, in case you're wondering, wild is in fact one syllable. He looked it up, so.
There's no scatolas in that game.
No.
That's
Uh-uh.
also true. Yes. This is Ein from Minneapolis.
Spell.
Wait a minute.
Like the dog from Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, so Ein, E-I-N, like the
One
dog
in
from
German?
Cowboy Bebop, from Minneapolis, says that they have a little poem for Nick from Atlanta. 2 completely separate poems, separate parts of the country. 2 people wrote in poems
Okay.
for Nick from Atlanta
Huh.
about spiders and games.
I
Jeff
look-
Cork, as the
Real
poet
quick,
here.
I looked it up, and poem is 2 syllables, by the way.
Thank you.
So Nick from Atlanta is the guy who wrote in about the spiders.
yes.
Okay.
Holy cow. Are you ready?
Take it
I feel like you
away,
should
Jeff Cork.
Put my Orin Hatch glasses on real quick. Hey, okay, here we go. I entreat you. You didn't
Like
say
all
it.
great
That's
poetry.
improv.
Hey,
Here we go. Allen Ginsberg. All right. I entreat you to play Final Fantasy VI, which harbors nary a spider or spider-like. Mayhaps a whelk or scorpion, but those are all right. Your next visit can be Soulblazer, offering no arachnids to fight. On the Game Boy, you must play Final Fantasy Adventure. No spiders, whether they be black or white. And the final campaign is Shining Force. Yes, nothing 8-legged in sight. Alas, we must forbid the masterwork of Soul's most dark. We forget not the sisters, one quiet and blind, and the other a fiery matriarch. There's not too many others you see.
Hey.
Yeah, well, Bumble. Related to web crawlers who bite, but those 2 daughters have become half spiders after sucking up the blight.
Jeff Cork, that's
Oh,
beautiful.
that's so well written.
Thank
Flawless.
you. Nick from Atlanta, I hope you got some good game recommendations. This is Ian writes in and says, hey, crew, this is Ian Pierce from Charlottesville, Virginia, the very same.
Hello.
He says, you guys are always a joy to listen to. Thank you. You're welcome. Last week, you guys had an email about spiderless fantasy games, but
Oh, no.
nobody mentioned one of my favorite franchises that happens to be 100% spiderless, Fable. Speaking of which, do you think Fable 4 could level the playing field for Microsoft if and when it is announced? Nintendo has a comfortable spot in this race, I believe. Sony is leading in sales and first-party games. Microsoft needs some killer games. Which games would you like to see strictly on Xbox One? Interesting that he asked about Fable 4. This email came in before Eurogamer talked about the rumor going around there that actually the Forza Horizon team is making an open-world Fable game.
It's the festival atmosphere.
What do you guys think about that? What do you want from the next Fable game?
I want a next Fable game, so we can at least get that out of the way.
Uh-huh.
I do want it to exist.
True open world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where I would
Seems
go.
Obvious.
I think it's a really cool choice for the development team behind it. I love Forza Horizon,
Mhm.
3 in particular, and the idea that this team that's basically making a car RPG now, it's like, all right, just remove the cars, remove all racing. You know how to
Yeah.
make beautiful worlds, side quests, you got it all down. Radio stations, you're the masters.
Yep.
Now make a Fable game.
You know what you do is you find all the pre-release hype coverage from the first Fable and make that game.
Ah.
Oh,
You're
it's
a
like the
smart
equivalent
man.
of like going back to like the Ralph McQuarrie art for Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, I'm actually going to carve my freaking initials on this tree.
Yeah, they could plant a seed as a child and it grows.
I got a
into an
dang
adult.
scar.
Oh, because that was the pitch with the first Fables, that you can grow up throughout it and it'll
Yeah.
leave all these remnants. Oh, that's awesome.
You
And-
did grow up. I feel like in the second and the third one, you didn't you aged some, but you didn't start as a kid.
Well, the 2 you did, 3
In
you
two
did not.
Okay, in
Yeah.
3 you didn't for sure.
Which was a big mistake.
And I kind of missed that actually.
It's such a rare thing, aging in RPGs, and I feel like it's awesome. Dragon Quest V, I feel like that's maybe the number one reason people really remember that game, because it's such a cool, unique structure that throughout that entire game, you're getting older and older and
Yeah.
older. And the idea of doing that in an ambitious open world, hopefully set in Australia, that's awesome.
What Fable you want to be set in Australia?
It's Forza Horizon 3 reference, I guess.
The one thing, the game has like a weird sense of humor, so I wonder if they're going to try to emulate that, or if they're going to try to make it more serious, or if like there are some former Lionhead people there that are writing.
I say keep the goofy English humor. I
yeah,
like that.
I like it. I think they could almost take a lot of the story and stuff that they developed for that multiplayer game. Like they had a lot of like character designs and
Oh,
like
God,
backstories and all kinds of stuff, and they could probably just ape some of that to
So
like inject into the game.
All right, so take that lore, take that backstory, and then take the original concepts from Fable 1's
Yeah.
just garbage coming out of Molyneux's mouth early in the development.
Yeah. Mhm.
Dude, or that's
Would
all
they
you-
have to list him as a creative influence, like as like a creative
Yeah.
director? Or
But if they
something in
have
that
the
game?
license for Fable, and that was stuff that he was talking about for the development of Fable 1, you think that they don't have to
I think
go
they
out of
probably
their
wouldn't
way.
have to. But the fact that like it's all his like ideas and game.
I think the
plan.
credits would say like Fable originally created by Peter Molyneux or something like that. Like in the same way Stan Lee gets a credit in Guardians of the Galaxy. Right?
Yeah,
You
or
know?
Molyneux can come in with his fart app and just start farting up a storm.
Yeah,
Yeah, so,
perfect.
okay, overall tone, open world, aging.
Dog.
humor, dog,
Humor.
yes.
Some kind of
Dog.
Different
companion.
breeds.
Maybe you could have multiple different companions you could choose from.
Yeah.
Also, I would like a seamless aging process because in the Fable you always jump from kid to like teenager and then jump to adult and you're grown. But it'd be nice if you like slowly grew bigger over time.
Or
Yeah.
quickly. Just like it's a constant rotation. Like it's like a day-night cycle in a game.
yeah, day night.
you
cycle,
talking
Like
about
a
the
were
orange-
child?
What's
that?
happening?
You're like a were child?
Yeah, so you start out like a baby, and then you can see yourself growing up, and then you get old and slow down, and then you become a new person. It's just this
So
constant
you're saying like
cycle.
go through like a different people. Like you play as the father, then the child, and the child of the child, and the child of the child of the child.
Sure, why the hell not?
Sure, it's
We're spitballing here like Molyneux. Let's say that's in the
Yeah.
game. Absolutely.
But yeah, I want to
It's-
play that.
It's exciting news. It is. He's totally right. Ian is that. I mean, Microsoft could use a big game like this, and especially now that Scalebound is out of the works. Like they still have that open world RPG slot that they could really make Fable work well for.
Yeah, it will not level the playing field though. It'll be a good game that Xbox owners will be happy to play, and PC owners will say, "Oh, I'm going to play this. I don't know why I need to buy an Xbox," and we'll all have a good time, and it won't change the the platform race at all.
Also, I mean, Forza Horizon 3, if the team is in fact working on it, I mean, that was 2016. So I would not expect this game for another couple of years for sure. So keep it in the same ballpark as like
Yeah.
a Pokemon RPG on Switch.
Maybe
you
an
know?
E3 tease or something.
Really this year?
Man.
No way.
Well, it was I didn't read the rumor, but did they say they'd been working on it or like this is early on?
I'd imagine they would
Well,
have started
you have-
after Forza Horizon 3, but I don't know.
You have to assume it's pretty early on. Yeah, Forza and then Forza DLC. Probably they did for a
Yeah.
little while. Right?
It's
So-
also cool to see the Forza series. If this is true, get out of that rotation of every other year, because like how many times can you jump back and forth and confuse what the Forza brand's all about?
Yeah.
3
I also-
years.
I also
Yeah,
like
that's
seeing
true.
those like developers that are locked into a genre. Like you think, oh, it's like, oh, they only do racing. For them to like do RPG, I think is cool. Like,
Yeah.
I'd like to see them try something new.
Yeah.
Like when EA Tiburon did the Superman game.
Yeah, the Madden guys did Superman. It turned out great.
Everyone does their own thing.
Don't try. Is what Reeves is trying to say.
Only do.
All right, next question is from Adam Dominguez.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting challenge, interesting dare here. Adam says, name a thing. And then here's the challenge. Can blank, someone special, tell us why we actually shouldn't like this thing?
Why we
Okay.
as a group or
Why individually each of us should not like this thing. So Kyle, name a thing. This is the challenge.
A chair.
Okay, so here's the problem with chairs. And I think not enough people realize what the issue here is. And that's that they are often poorly padded.
Okay.
And we all know it's more comfortable to lie down than to sit down in the first place. Why doesn't everyone just have beds at their desks instead of chairs?
Okay, do
Okay.
I counter?
Dad,
Do
is
I
that you?
No, it turns out you don't actually like chairs at all.
All right. I mean,
Yeah,
I
I'm sorry.
feel convinced, strangely.
I feel like Joe, it needs to be more feisty Joe. Like the classic, you can't just that. Okay.
Yeah, you got cut off Cork before he even finishes. what
Okay,
he's
Cork,
saying.
name a thing.
Breath of the Wild.
It's perfect. I have nothing bad to say.
Wow, I'll be damned. All right, stumped him.
Yeah.
Ben Rees, what do you got?
Bananas.
Bananas! Oh man, those upside down ass growing fruit. No thanks.
Worst part about it is they're upside
Yeah.
down.
Okay, so first of all, you gotta find which end of the banana you're gonna even try to open.
Oh,
And then they've got those little stringy things all over the place.
this is
And
terrible.
you have about a 4-hour window in which you can actually eat it.
This is haunting.
Before it's all hard and like
Hard?
bitter. No. I'm sorry. The window.
This voice is confused.
Wait a minute. Oh wait, I was thinking of almonds. Hold on.
Oh yeah, hard and bitter almonds.
God, the only thing I could think of concretely is Final Fantasy X.
Ooh, well, okay. I think we've all seen the laughing scene. First of all,
Okay.
that's the old go-to. No,
I like it.
I can't say anything bad about.
You've been tweeting nonstop about chocobos and having to get a zero time
No,
and how
that's
you
so
would.
brilliant. It's perfect.
Wait, what is going on with you in Final Fantasy X? What is with this dumb chocobo thing? You've been trying to get a dumb trophy in
You
it,
said
Joe?
you would rather know the time of your death than play.
You would rather live on a mountain made out of butts that are constantly farting.
than get this 0-0 time in chocobo racing.
What is it?
I did say that.
So it's the part where you're dodging lightning?
No, okay. First of all, I've been replaying this game and decided for a challenge I was going to try and do the platinum, right?
Okay.
And in order to do that, you have to do a bunch of terrible, terrible mini game challenges that are part of it. Dodging lightning's one of them. Another one though is this: you have to do a chocobo race in which your time needs to be less than 0 seconds. You do that by finishing the race, but you collect things along the way that subtract from your time. And then the whole time you're getting hit by these goddamn birds that fly out of nowhere. And the controls are terrible.
What are you doing
So-
this for? You're not going to feel accomplished getting that trophy. You're not going to feel a thing. I promise.
I did already, and I did. It filled me with joy.
Well, I'll be damned. All
in
right.
a way that this conversation is not.
I stand corrected. All right. Well, hey. All right. Thanks, Joe. Turns out we don't like anything.
Thanks for having me.
Bye, Joe.
I've insisted on not looking behind me, even though
You know that it's it's not actually Reiner doing a Joe impersonation.
Oh,
Oh
God,
my
it's Joe
gosh.
Juba.
Wow, it
Oh,
actually
yeah.
was Joe.
Breaks the
God.
studio on his way out the
I
door.
really hate chairs and bananas.
Who's the one person on staff who you think is the easiest to make an impersonation of?
Jim Riley? Is he still on staff? I forget.
Yeah, not really, but
Okay.
I don't know. He's probably it.
Yeah.
Or Dan Tech.
Dantak's tough.
You think so?
I think so. Can you do it?
Okay.
Cork
Yeah, see,
did
that's
it.
smart.
It's a visual thing. It's
Yeah.
kind of like a flabbergasted, what do you want? What do you want?
Shake
from
your
me?
head real
That's
quick.
it?
Yeah.
I mean,
And then
if
play computer games.
if that's what you're saying we're going to do, then I guess we're going to do it. I don't know. Francis from San Diego says, "Hey crew, I was watching the last episode and it dawned on me that there's always gameplay running behind the Game Informer logo in the podcast. Saying it's the logo is confusing. Is the gameplay from replay, or do you specifically play a game to simply add the video in the video version of the podcast? Sometimes it's replay, but we don't talk about old games that often on the podcast, so it's usually new gameplay today footage, or if there's trailers and stuff. Oh, he's talking about this one. I thought he was talking about the picture-in-picture in the video version.
Wait, you
That's
just
like
got
a-
that?
I just understood what he's
Yeah, and that's
talking
the
about.
logo.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes complete sense now. Yeah. So there's a TV in the room,
Yeah.
and that is usually footage from replay.
What it's
Yeah.
Mario's Banjo-Kazooie, I think it's in there. Shadow of the Colossus.
Banjo-Kazooie isn't.
Well,
Crash
is-
Bandicoot is.
Oh, is
yeah.
Mario 64?
Yes.
Okay.
Black Ops 2 is. We should probably update that at some point because it's getting
Well,
a little
Yeah,
Shadow
outdated.
because people
Colossus
are
can
looking
stay
at it
there
and be like,
forever.
look at all these old games.
This is unwatchable.
That's so blurry. They should
Yeah.
really pull it into focus.
But it's a good reminder if you only listen to this show, you can also watch the video version where we do actually put gameplay for the stuff we're talking about.
Yeah.
It takes a little
I
bit
don't
of
think
work.
he was confused by that.
I don't think it was either. But I want to say, if you're watching the video version, you can also subscribe to the audio version, listen on iTunes or whatever.
Mhm.
Find the version that's right for you. And as I pointed out recently in an email, there are 2 people that download this podcast and listen to it on the Zune.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
if
Are
you
you serious?
if you're one of the
Oh,
Zune listeners,
man.
please write into podcast@gameformer.com with proof, I guess.
Yeah, I think the Zune is underrated. We can talk about that.
I think it's a
What are you doing?
pre-programmed ghost chip. I think it's just
they subscribed a long time ago and
What do
left
you
the Zune
listen-
plugged in.
What are you doing when you listen to our podcast? That's what I want to know.
You want people to write in and say what they're doing?
The 2 Zune people.
Oh, okay, sure.
Although if other people want to write in, sure. I don't know.
Podcast@gameformer.com. Chris from Phoenix, Arizona. Do you want to ask for any poems or anything?
Yeah, maybe a haiku. I won't remember this next week.
Chris says, "Hey crew,
Hello.
hello. Recently, I was describing my taste in video games to a new friend and stated that my favorite genre is the RPG. When asked what RPGs I've recently enjoyed, I stopped and realized there hasn't been a lot, and that I'm just used to saying that RPGs are my favorite because of how many I enjoyed in my younger years. This leads me to my question: is there a genre or series you've lost interest in over the years?" I feel like this email really speaks to me, where it's like, "Oh, JRPGs! I love JRPGs." And then I think
Yeah.
back recently, and it's, "Oh boy, I guess I played that first Xenoblade Chronicles."
I used to really enjoy RTSs.
Ah,
Just can't get into them anymore.
They stopped making them.
have you tried the Air Billions?
I don't know. Does it have no story? Because that's what I'm looking for.
That's interesting.
It's first-person shooters for me. Like that was like my favorite genre at the time. Like in that Halo era, like I loved Halo, but I have backed away from that genre so much. Like shooters just all kind of feel similar to me.
We
and,
still
like-
kind of treat you like a Halo guy, though. Should we take that off your bucket
Honestly,
list?
yeah. Like I when I started here, I was like, Halo 1's one of my favorite games, and then
We
I
played
was-
it on replay.
Yeah, I was super excited for Halo 4, and then Halo 5. I played the first level, and I was like,
Really?
I don't want to keep
You
playing.
didn't
this.
even finish it.
I didn't even finish. No, I just totally lost interest. So that series, like, I am not excited for a potential Halo 6 at all.
Oh wow,
So
Jesus.
I'm sorry. It's just how I feel.
Okay,
That's how I feel.
boy. Have you changed, Reeves?
I feel like I have broadened my horizons. I don't know. I kind of resonate with Kyle a little bit when you say shooters. I feel like I used to love shooters a lot more, and now they just feel all very generic.
Shooter.
I
Hey,
think-
how about we try a new genre called Helper?
Well, like what was it 2 years ago when everybody was talking about you're the shooter, all these shooters are amazing. I was like, they're fine. And then this last year with Wolfenstein, I was like the gameplay. I was like,
I don't make fun of him.
Sorry.
He's trying to.
sorry, Wolfenstein. I just did not. I don't know. The story was fun, but it was
Yeah.
I didn't care for the gameplay.
Titanfall 2 is the last like campaign that I
It's
enjoyed,
amazing.
and it was
Yeah.
like, oh, this is what I liked about shooters. But then Wolfenstein, like I liked the story a lot, but I was very much just cutscene hunting my way through the through the action.
Wolfenstein.
By the way,
Wolfenstein.
I want to point out Kyle has officially adopted cutscene hunting from a Trey Parker interview. But I've heard you
Yeah,
say it
no,
a couple times.
Yes, Trey Parker absolutely. I think is who I heard that from first, and it's a good description for a game.
Your old
You know what I'm
friend.
sick of? Reloading. Honestly, every time I play a shooter, it's like, I don't want to do this anymore.
It's a lot to ask.
You're reloading a gun?
Yeah, what are you talking about?
What do you want to do? You just wanna
Reloading
have
a
a giant
save.
Just
magazine?
yeah, just endless. Just please, I don't want to deal with this.
Do you prefer like the cooldown if it's like
I'll take
it's getting
that.
too hot?
I'll take that.
laser gun?
Yeah.
What about Battlefront? Has like a weird thing where if you empty the clip, then you get a chance to get a powerful version of
Yes.
the shot.
That sounds great.
What a
Alright.
cool innovation. Battlefront.
Don't ask Epic about it. Speaking of weird things that Reeves requests people to write in, we got a fair amount of fan fiction, which is really fantastic. A lot of people, six or more people wrote in with their fan fiction, which is more than I expected. It's very impressive. Matt Bala wrote in with an ambitious, 6-page Fallout New Vegas script.
Whoa.
Mart Ravisky wrote in with a dark story about Shadow of the Colossus. James Kloss wrote in about trying to explain why Vincent and Yuffie aren't in the final cutscene of Final Fantasy VII.
Okay.
Alexander Dunbar wrote in about Super Mario Brothers. Mark Ravisky also wrote in with a Super Mario World story. Jeremy Amaker wrote in with Breath of the Wild. But there was one that was just slightly better than these other ones. God bless all these people that wrote in. But there's one that we should actually try and turn into a radio player. Do you want to try it?
Oh yeah.
Let's do it.
Scale of 1 to 10, how horny is it?
This one isn't. Some other ones are a little booby for my legs. But hang on, let me go get the script here.
Joe already left.
So I thought you wanted scripts for like about Game Inform writers, but people sent you fan fiction.
Yeah, I didn't want game.
Yeah, that's what we wanted.
All right. So who am I?
Oh, he's got it all highlighted.
Don't spoil this.
Okay.
Okay, don't spoil. This is a story that goes places.
All right.
Leo in the booth, how are you doing?
Whoa.
I have the additional stories.
Okay.
that don't even
I was
count.
like,
this
oh,
is
okay.
just
Okay,
yeah,
so
yeah,
just
yeah.
this one?
Just the top
one page,
because they're
'cause-
one
alright,
page.
That was your
which is
request. One page.
It's a crucial component.
All
So Cork, you're going to be playing the narrator
Okay.
because you're very good at that.
All right.
Kyle, I've highlighted your role. What is that going to be actually?
Looks like I'm suit number 2.
Suit number 2, Kyle or Reeves. Don't read towards the bottom, but you are playing a crazed man.
Oh, okay.
Reeves, just
Okay,
completely crazed
okay.
man.
I'm just going to be a crazed man.
And I am suit number 1. This is
All right.
a radio play.
Is there like background noise?
I don't know. Does that sound like background
I
noise?
think it sounds like background noise. Ready?
Yeah.
The Greatest Trick Ever Pulled by Aaron Sorkin. Jose Pizarro. Act 1, Scene 1. Inside an office boardroom somewhere in Japan. Everyone speaks with regular American accents because I don't want to make the GI staff do accents that would most definitely offend people. A man with a crazed look in his eye paces in front of a seated group of 12 men, all wearing business suits. The camera enters mid-conversation.
We would lose thousands.
What?
All right. Okay. We would lose thousands. Hell, we could lose millions.
Not to mention the trust of our fans.
That's fine. We can rebuild.
We will do no such thing.
A silence falls upon the room.
We can't.
You have to understand, this is a business. This isn't some art project.
We employ thousands of people. We are their lifeblood. We can't afford negative press at a time like this. Your newest project is releasing.
He looks through his papers.
That's you,
September 1st, correct? It's not highlighted.
This has nothing to do with suit number 2. Leaving me.
We gotta
This
get that
has
transition
nothing
right.
to do.
It does. You see, to invent an imaginary feud between you and our company would just leave both of us.
Know what you think it will do. You're wrong. The gamers would rally behind me. They would support me, which in the end would support our project. I can't do this without your consent. I know it seems crazy, but trust me, you're gonna have to trust me.
You're a strange man, a very strange man.
The suit presses in intercom.
Greenlight Mr. Kojima's orders. Operation, what was the name of it?
Operation Death Stranding.
Greenlight Operation Death Stranding for Mr. Kojima. When will you reveal that it is actually Metal Gear Solid 6?
When the world is ready. You'll have to trust me. Sure, this will look bad at first. People will hate you, but luckily, I finished that cool zombie DLC I was telling you about, and you guys can release that a few years while I work on Metal Gear Solid 6. Death Stranded.
He winks.
Can I ask one more question? Who is that man holding your hand?
You'll see.
The man is none other than Mads Mikkelsen. Kojima and Mads French kiss and fly away. Fade to black.
I like the fly away part. It's
Beautiful.
touching.
Jose.
And factual, undoubtedly.
I like the
Well
part
done.
where he said speaks with regular American accents, and Hanson just immediately jumped to the basis instinct.
What?
You also didn't highlight all my lines, which made it kind of
I
hard.
don't know. Who can actually want you to highlight things? I thought it was very generous of you to highlight that. Thank you to everybody
Thank
that
you,
wrote in
Jose.
with absurd fan fiction. Well done, Jose. Well done.
A good Mickelson impression, Leo.
All right.
Killer. It's like it's Jack Mickelson. What's your favorite email of the week?
I feel like we should reward the guy
It's-
who wrote the script.
I feel
Yeah.
like he did write a script.
I think RJ asking why we don't send stuff.
All right,
The
okay,
Dominican
okay.
Republic.
We love
True.
RJ from the Dominican Republic as well.
RJ.
Did another one stand out to you, Kyle?
I did like the one that's like the game that you spend a lot of time with, like
Mm.
yours was Bejeweled and stuff. I like that one.
Okay.
But the script, I mean, yeah, give it up.
You got to give it up to Jose. So, Jose Pizarro, congratulations. We'll ship you out something real nice. Thank you so much for everybody else that wrote in. For now, stay tuned for an interview with 3 fine designers from Epic talking about the evolution of Fortnite. So, stay tuned for that. Eric, David, Sydney, welcome to the Game Informer Show, guys.
Howdy. Hi.
Yeah, welcome to the big show. Hey, congratulations on Fortnite. What a bizarre success story. Congratulations, guys.
Thank you. Thanks.
How does it feel inside of Epic these days? Are you guys just running around like you're on fire? Do you have giant monitors with graphs going up and up and up? What does it look like in there?
Well, there's a lot of excitement. I mean, certainly we didn't expect the game to be, we expected the game to be popular, but we didn't expect it to be this popular. So we're really pretty thrilled and humbled.
Yeah, I'd imagine. So you guys are fully revamping the map, or how exactly would you phrase it here?
I would phrase it as a really, really big refresh, really. Because I mean, like if you've seen the map in the past, you kind of have this big green field underneath you, and right off the bat, the first thing you're going to notice is that the entire map basically is dressed up in different biomes, so you have more color variation across the entire thing. We added new trees, new foliage, because we really wanted people to be better able to orient themselves in the entire space, right? And along with that as well, when we shipped the map in September, we were happy with what we had, but we knew that there were things we wanted to change about it. And some of those things, were just things we wanted to try, other things where people in the community were asking about. So because of the kind of like lack of density that we perceived on the western side of the map, that's what we focused on for really throwing on a ton of new points of interest and stuff like that. And Dave, do you want to talk about some of those points of interest?
Yeah, I'd say the major part of it is that, we equalized the density across the map, and we also added some new points of interest with varying themes that were not present on the initial release. So we have a new city area with some vertical, tall vertical building gameplay. We have an underground mine, and so that sort of offers kind of like a claustrophobic, lots of opportunities for flanking and other things like that. And a few other pretty interesting areas, a junkyard area that allows players to sort of utilize some of the existing objects to get around and supplement it with buildings. So we wanted the new areas to have their own identity, but also, visually, but also have sort of unique gameplay coming to the space as well.
So when modifying the map itself, I mean, you guys have been working, obviously you know Unreal very well, and you've been working on Fortnite, I mean, since 2011, I guess. Are you guys just experts on modifying that terrain? How difficult or easy is it to kind of shape up and change the terrain?
Well, certainly we've got more tools than we had then to be able to build things faster, but we're constantly learning about what is the right fit for Battle Royale and Save the World as well. And so that means constantly sort of adjusting and making improvements to the environment and level content. One of the things that we had sort of talked about was that the map should really be a canvas for players to express their creativity. And so while we want, say, the city area to have vertical gameplay, we don't want to sort of dictate exactly how it should play. So it's always about trying to find the right balance between sort of hinting at how you could use the space, but not necessarily dictating how you should play in the space. And sometimes we go, too heavy-handed, and sometimes not heavy-handed enough, and we're constantly adjusting based on feedback.
Do you feel like this is the last big revamp of this map? Is it going to be in a spot that you guys are happy with overall?
I think we'll basically keep treating the map like we've treated it so far, which is, up until even this point, we've basically always done small adjustments to it. We've added a few small buildings here and there, removed some stuff, fixed stuff, and I think we're going to keep doing that in the near future. Just to, it's been organic so far, reacting to people playing and consuming the map, and we feel that that's a pretty good spot to be at. Like a lot of the stuff that we actually added specifically was asked about in the community, etc. So we like that relationship.
But I'd imagine everyone's daydreaming about, what if we made a completely new map? What would that look like? How much can we change it up, right?
Yeah, that conversation comes up, every now and then. And, right now, I guess the immediate focus is getting an update to the existing map because we just know there's so many improvements that we can do. But, do you want to touch on next map?
No, we're definitely open to the idea of doing more stuff in the future. We don't have any concrete plans really to talk about. But like you mentioned, there's no shortage of ideas to come up with for this. And Fortnite as an IP allows for a lot of variety and a lot of just cool stuff. There's the ceiling is taller than than it usually is for us on this. So it's really fun to just go crazy with a lot of things.
Do you guys want to talk about your history with the Battle Royale mode within Fortnite? And when did the Battle Royale mode specifically build up and kind of gain momentum within the studio?
Yeah, sure. So I can answer that. So obviously throughout the development of Fortnite, I think it's public knowledge that a number of different PvP modes had been explored throughout the development. And
I think we played some for the cover story, yeah.
Right. And so and for a number of different reasons, they didn't end up working out. The idea to start the Battle Royale mode of Fortnite was, that was late June, early July is really when we started. And so, I mean, if you think about the development time, we started development early July and we launched at the end of September. So, which is, if you compare that to the development of, many other large games, that's unheard of, right? And what we accomplished in such a short amount of time, we're incredibly proud of.
Was it which division of Epic headed that up? Was it just overall Fortnite development? Like, hey, this will be a fun experiment. Let's just see if we can do it. Kind of like a weird subset, kind of skunkworks project within Epic.
So that was the Unreal Tournament team was basically brought on to help out. And they had been, dedicated primarily towards Unreal Tournament. And then when this opportunity came along, we adjusted a large amount of the team towards Fortnite Battle Royale.
Yeah, I'm curious about that. Like, to what extent is Epic kind of following the audience and seeing the numbers maybe on Battle Royale, I'd imagine, are quite a bit higher than the core Fortnite game? And do you kind of shift development priorities based on that?
Well, I mean, being a free product, right, that certainly has its advantages in terms of number of people who can play it. The Save the World team still has a very talented and focused development team, and they're continuing to work on the Save the World campaign.
Yeah,
I mean, the general thing was that we're treating this all as one big game.
Yeah.
So.
Is it a goal? Do you guys have the mission statement up there of like, we want to convert players though? The goal is to have Battle Royale kind of be a training grounds and then eventually funnel people towards the Save the World mode?
I don't know if that's necessarily the case. I mean, by having both modes, right, there's a value for different types of players, right? Some people really like PvP. Some people really like the campaign. Some people like both. And I think it's in our advantage to have a game, Fortnite, that speaks to both types of players or all of those different types of players. And I think there's a lot of overlap there. So it's not that we're necessarily trying to get people into the game through Battle Royale and convert them to Save the World. I would say we're perfectly fine if players want to come in and play Battle Royale and only want to play Battle Royale. On the same side, if people want to come in to play Save the World and only play Save the World, that's fine too.
Yeah. And now, Eric, how long have you been at Epic?
5-6 months.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. And I just skimmed real quickly. You worked in Age of Empires Online before that?
Yes, sir.
That project was wildly underrated. That art style alone was so cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, but for the old timers there, I'm curious. And no offense with the old timers, but I'm curious. How do you feel like Fortnite's development and kind of this radical approach and the Battle Royale success has kind of shifted Epic overall? How has it changed the overall tenor of the studio?
Oh, I mean, we sort of touched on it at the beginning, but just sort of the general excitement about just sort of how good of a fit it is for Fortnite and how fun the mode is just gets game developers in general, anyone attached to working on it, really excited to try to make it as good as it can possibly be. So I wouldn't say there's really much of a shift. Like, any of us are really just happy to work on something that is kind of building a lot of momentum in terms of it all just sometimes just falls into place. And that was sort of evident pretty early in the development, even last summer before we shipped. We did a couple play tests and we were like, this is pretty fun. And there was a lot of room for improvement, and we're constantly still looking at it that way. Lots we can do to add to it, but certainly seeing the prospect of being able to continue to build on something that you perceive as really fun is really exciting as a developer.
Yeah, I mean, Sydney, is it too early to come away to like have a takeaway lesson for all of Fortnite's development at this point? Like, is the lesson like never give up, iteration, more one-off experiments, be flexible? Like, what do you think is the main takeaway at this point from all of Fortnite's development?
I think the main takeaway in game dev usually is that when you're having fun building something yourself, then you hope people will have fun with it too. And right now is a really fun time to be working on the game. I actually worked on UT before this. I've never had worked on Fortnite before, actually, myself. I was in a bunch of different teams that, worked with Paragon before as well. So for me, it was just like jumping into Fortnite. All the stuff that was already there made it extremely easy to come up with, permutations of all that, because Fortnite has an awesome base. So it was really fun to just basically go in Windows Shop and make fun stuff with it. And the thing that's super satisfying right now is to actually be able to work on a game that people consume so quickly that we're putting stuff in, people are playing it, you get that instant gratification of people reacting to it, and you can go back and tweak it, and it's fun. Like, it's super fun to work on a live game like that where, you're not waiting, a year or two or whatever until somebody consumes it and is done with it, but we're kind of playing the game with everybody as we're building it, which is super awesome.
But the fact that you guys cranked out the Battle Royale mode in a couple months is so amazing. I mean, do you see yourselves trying more experiments in that vein with different PvP types?
I guess it's not off the table. One of the main things that we're using, what we call our LTMs or limited time modes, you'll see that we released a 50v50 about a month ago. And that was kind of one of our early twists on PvP, but it's all based on the same sort of foundation of Battle Royale. We have a lot of ideas of stuff that we can do with the limited time modes, and there's a lot more that we're going to try.
Right on. What's been the biggest F-yes moment so far in this game's development? What moment has really stood out to you guys where you get to high-five each other in the office? Is it seeing like a celebrity stream the game or tweet about it, or has there been one moment that's really stood out to you guys, just with the Battle Royale mode specifically, maybe?
I think for me, it's been watching some of the clips that you see online of people playing, like and they're hitting, they're constantly sort of raising the ceiling for what we thought would be possible within the game with a sort of a high level of play.
Yeah, there was one clip, like Ninja versus Daquan was amazing. It's like this 2-minute fight. It might have even been longer, 2 or 3 minutes. And, they're healing, they're building, they're jumping all over the place, they're repositioning, and there's a real conversation that goes on during that combat. It's so cool.
Yeah. So it's got to be a constant thrill. You guys just have monitors up all the time with Twitch running?
Actually, yeah, there's one TV in the war room that basically has a streamer going at any time.
I think there's been a couple times where we were like slowing down our company internet because too many people were streaming too many.
Yeah, there's a company email of, hey, you guys can't all be streaming Twitch at the same time.
Awesome. Well, we're definitely looking forward to seeing what you guys have coming up on the pipeline. So definitely keep us in the loop.
Absolutely.
Cool. Sydney, Eric, David, thank you so much for Skyping into the Game Informer show, and thank you so much for watching or listening to this episode. Be sure to tune in next Thursday. We'll have a new episode waiting for you. Bye, everybody. Now we just have to talk about the Switch. Oh, we got to find out what that Nintendo thing is.
Oh yeah, what was the Nintendo thing?
Yeah, what was that Nintendo?
What was the Nintendo thing?
Labo, a cardboard software hybrid for Switch.
What?
Labo?
Labo.
Labo.
Oh no.
Okay, we want to watch this together?
Yes.
Well.
Cardboard?
Shut the f up.
What is this? Oh my. Oh my.
Did you watch this?
The Labo thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They pronounce it Labo?
I don't know. Labo?
Oh no.
Is that a headset?
Oh, Project Giant Robot. Did you see this?
It's pretty nuts.
What is this?
Yeah, no shit.
420? Yeah, we got an idea, guys.
Awesome there.
Where am I sitting? Ooh, there's different kits that you can buy.
5 Toy-Con projects.
Toy-Con.
Oh, that's
I love
good.
it.